Hello students, how are you all doing? Yes, very good evening. Hemant, Ginny, very good evening. Great. Yes, Ritik, good evening. So students, we have started with GST in our previous lecture. And in GST, as we all know, the basic chargeable event is supply. The taxable event is supply. So we started with this topic. We studied this from our PPT. Now I'll go to the module. But before that, let us now, students, I want your involvement in this topic. You all have studied this at Inters. You all have did something in your offices. So I want some discussion, and supply is something very basic. Yes, Hemant, you say you have doubts. You want me to unmute you? I'm unable. Yes, sir. See, Hemant, today we are going to go to the study mat only. So whatever are your doubts will be cleared. No worries. There is amendment. You're right. Anyways, in our PPT, we have not reached up to that, but today we'll take it from the module directly. So it will be understandable to you. Yes, but I'm unable to unmute somehow. Yes, Jenny.
Sir, in the module, the page number 1.24, there is a provision when the insurance company provide the full insurance and without salvage value.
Without?
There are two conditions. Number one.
Okay. Let us do one thing. Beta. As I said today, I am going to go from module only.
Yes, sir.
So we have done the basics from our PPT last lecture. Just that was a starting point. Today
yes,
we will deal with this entire topic from the module. So whenever the respective page comes, you kindly let me know. We'll discuss that and we will get each of your doubts cleared.
Yes, sir. It is page number 1.24.
Fine. So whenever it comes, you just ping me.
Okay, sir.
Right? Okay, great. I think Hemant also has some similar doubts, so we'll do that. No worries. So students, let us start from module today. So as we are discussing, taxes are levied on a particular transaction. We are talking about indirect taxes like earlier excise, earlier VAT, service tax, today's customs, income tax, is direct tax, GST. All these are levied on certain transactions. The transaction on which a particular tax is levied is called as the taxable event. Now, under GST, when GST was introduced, they subsumed 17 different taxes, few from center, few from state. Now, all of those taxes were having different taxabilities or taxable events. Now, they wanted to make a common taxable event. So they chose this word supply. Supply, as I always say in a lighter note, means sub, pay, apply. So this is the most simplest way of understanding supply. That is, for all commercial transactions, supply is the common term used. And since it is the taxable event, it has been defined very technically, very precisely. So we will have to go through that precise definition to understand the exact corners of what will and what will not fall in supply, right? So let us go ahead. Those things which we have already done, I'll just brush up. Those things which are left to be done, that will go in detail. So I started in my PPT with the charging section, which is section 9, which is levy. And the levy section says that GST is levied on supply. CNS section, the levy section is 9, which says GST is levied on intrastate supply up to maximum 20% rate. IGST section is 5, which says GST is leviable up to maximum 40% rate. Now, both these levy sections are only providing for the maximum amount, but they are saying what would be the exact rate that would be prescribed by the government by notification on recommendation of council. So presently the highest rate of IGST is 28 and of C and S individually is 14. Now, when you go to the definition of supply, if you remember, I had given you 4 key points. In order that any transaction becomes supply, 4 conditions have to be satisfied. 1, there should be a commercial transaction like sale, barter, exchange, service, some type of renting, leasing, etc. Second, it should be of the taxable object, which is goods or services. Thirdly, of which is for a consideration. And fourthly, it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Then, if you all recall, we discussed the definition of goods also, where this point is crucial, that only movable properties can be forming part of goods. Hence, all immovable properties will by default go to service, because service is more generously, more vastly defined. So, for the time being, when we are discussing goods, it is only including movable properties, and it excludes 2 things which is also excluded from service. So these 2 things will never come under the levy of GST. So money and securities. And that is why, if you remember, in the last lecture, we discussed that whenever you are buying or selling any type of shares, debentures, mutual funds, or any of these items which are termed as securities, there is no GST. And then we further discussed that goods also includes actionable claim. And if you all remember, we discussed the definition of actionable claim in detail. Then how is service defined? Service is defined to mean everything other than goods. So it can be anything, even immobile property, which is not goods, will be now service. Further, it excludes money and security. So money and security is excluded from goods and service both. So effectively, there can be no supply of money and securities per se. However, it further says that even though per se money is not goods, it is also not service, but the use of money is service. And what is the consideration for use of money? It is interest, though it is presently exempt, but at least service definition covers the use of money as a service. Further, what is included is the conversion of money from one mode to another, from one form to another, from one currency or denomination to another. Again, this simply means where you get your foreign exchange, foreign currency exchange, either for Indian currency or for any other foreign currency, and you are charged some fee, some commission, some charges, then even this conversion is a service. Further, the explanation says that service will also include the transactions which involve facilitating or arranging transactions of securities. So all share broking services are covered in services. So securities per se is neither goods, neither service, but arranging of transaction in securities is service. Money per se, neither goods, neither service, but the transaction of use of money, conversion of money is service, right? We all had discussed this in detail. Then there is definition of principal. There is definition of competent authority. Family includes spouse, children. This definition is important when you see the definition of related person. Also important is in CGST Act, whenever the word government is used, it will mean central government. When you read SGST Act, whenever the word government is used, it will mean state government. Local authority will mean your panchayats, your municipality, your municipal corporation, cantonment board, regional council, district council, developmental boards, and regional councils, which are formed under these sections or articles of the Constitution. Now, another important definition, if you all remember, we discussed in detail was consideration, because again, one of the limbs of supply is that there has to be consideration. Yes, we have a special item in supply where without consideration is also supply, but the basic requirement in general for all transactions to be supply is consideration. Now, what is consideration? Consideration is the quid pro quo. So what is given in return of a supply, that is, if I'm giving some goods or service supply, in return of that, whatever payment you will give to me, that is what is consideration. Now, this payment may be in terms of money or otherwise. So otherwise will mean non-monetary form, and it should be in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply. It means it has to have a direct quid pro quo connection with the supply. If the consideration is independent of supply, then it is not called as consideration, it is mere money, and there will be no GST. If you remember, we had discussed certain circulars relating to charitable trust, donations, etc. Further, consideration will also include the money value. Money value of what? That I have given you a supply, and in return, quid pro quo, what you are doing? You are agreeing to do some act, or you are agreeing not to do some act. So even this, if you remember the Contract Act, this term you had studied first time in the Contract Act, agreeing to do something, agreeing not to do something, which is called as forbearance. So where against my supply, either you agree to do some act or you agree not to do some act. Those can also be regarded as consideration, but as they are non-monetary, so what will be consideration? It is a monetary value. Again, it should be in respect of, response to, etc., etc. That is, it should have a quid pro quo relation with the supplier. Now, what is very important in the definition of consideration in both these clauses is that it will not include subsidy given only by central or state government. So if any part of the consideration is payable by central state government because they have given some subsidy in price, that you will not consider. However, if this payment of consideration is by recipient or by any other person, it will be included. Now, both these points are contradictory. So where consideration is 100, you are paying 60 because 40 somebody else is paying. Who is this somebody? This somebody, central or state government, because it has given subsidy, 40 is not included. But this 40 is paid by a third person or even a local government. It will be considered as part of consideration. So this is what is important to be noted. And then the last part is where any security deposit is received, security deposit is not a consideration. So security deposit is not regarded as consideration. Only where this security deposit is applied against a supply, only then it is a consideration. When you receive security deposit, that is not a consideration. Then if you all remember, we discussed the concept and definition of business in detail because that is your fourth limb. We understood in detail with a lot of discussion on what will be actionable claim. Then some other definitions are there. Manufacture, it is simple. It means processing of raw material or inputs in any manner that results in emergence of a new product. So simply, when you do any processing whereby raw material gets converted to final product, which is different from the raw material and which has a different name, character, etc., it will be manufacture. Similarly, money we discussed last time, it includes Indian legal tender or foreign currency and all types of promissory notes, that is negotiable instruments. And it will not include that currency which is held only for its numismatic value. See, I'm not repeating certain things because we had a lot of deliberation on that. Still, if you want anything to be repeated, I'll do that. Taxable supply means supply of goods or service or both, which is leviable to tax. In short, which is covered under Section 9. So that particular supply which is covered by Section 9 on which levy is created by the Act through Section 9, that is what is taxable supply. Taxable territory, students, simply means India. Now they are saying it means the territory to which the provisions of this Act apply, it is India. And non-taxable territory is every place outside India. And then India is defined to mean firstly the land portion of India, the territorial waters, which I'm sure you all know, it is into 12 nautical miles into the sea, then the seabed and the subsoil underlying the territorial waters, and then the continental shelf exclusive economic zone. All this extends up to 200 nautical miles in the sea. Then we have a definition of supplier, which also has an amendment, which Hemant was highlighting. Now, this amendment is in relation to online gaming. Now, since Hemant had raised a question, let me explain to you this point in detail. Firstly, in general, who is a supplier? Supplier means a person who is doing the activity of supplying the goods or service. So we are studying now supply. Now, whoever does this supply will be supplier, one, or even where on his behalf, the agent is doing something. So even the supplier definition will include an agent who is acting on the behalf of such supplier. So see, if you remember, these definitions are parallel and similar to what you would have studied in Sale of Goods Act at your foundation level. Now, so this is a very simple definition. Supplier is a person who is supplying. Now, what is new is this part. Now, to understand this part, let me first give you a brief background of what happened on 1st October 2023, that is last year. A year prior, there was a major amendment whereby, for the first time, the government clarified its tax position on online money gaming. Prior to that, government believes that it is taxable. We consultants contest that it is taxable, but not on the entire value, but only on some part value. And it is still pending with Honorable Supreme Court in Gamescraft case. Very soon you'll be getting the decision. But in order to settle those issues, the government, on recommendation of council, from 1st October 23, that is last year, implemented a new regime for the online gaming industry. What does it says? Wherever you are playing a game through internet or through any online connection, that is called as online gaming. First thing. Second thing, where you put some money on stake, that is you put a bet or you put a money and you play by having the scope of winning or losing the money, then the same online gaming is called as online money gaming. So both are similar looking terms, but online gaming is a more broader concept. Online money gaming is one part of online gaming where money is involved, where you put some money as bet. And if you win, you get some multiple amount. That is what is online money gaming. Now, who is the supplier? For understanding this definition, you have to first understand what is the intent of the lawmaker, what was brought on 1st October 2023. On 1st October 2023, the law which was refined or which was recreated specifically for online gaming intended that I am a player, so I become the recipient, and you are that online portal like Game Z, like Ludo, like Teen Patti. These are all online portals, even the Dream 11, which is called as Fantasy Sport. So all these are online portals. Let us now call them as online gaming companies. Now, these online gaming companies are doing what? They are creating this portal. On their portal, they are having different types of games and they are having different types of contest. One, you play the game like Teen Patti, where you are playing either with the computer or you are playing with other players. Now, again, there is a lot of question mark as to whether you are really playing with real players or it is the computer with whom you are playing. So nowadays, if you see the ad, nowadays all these gaming companies are trying to give you a picture that you are playing with some real persons. Why this is clarified? Because if you are playing with computer, then you can understand what the result will be. It will be purely dependent on the online gaming company whether they want you to win or lose. You will never have a fair chance. But where you are playing the game with some real person on the other side, you always have a fair chance because that person is also a human being and he's not having control on what the dice will come or what the cards will come. But when it is a computer, it always have a control on what the dice will roll and what the cards will come because it is the computer itself. So now these people have become smart. Gamers have become smart. All the players who are playing now, they have realized that these gaming companies are trying to bluff them by actually putting the computer on the other side. Hence, nowadays, they are putting the ad that actually you are playing with real players. So they bring in some film stars or they bring in some celebrities who say, I am the one who is playing on the other side. You are actually playing with me. Fine. All that is marketing. Now, what is the point? In all this, there was a very big confusion. Who is the supplier? What is the supply? And what is the value of supply? So all these things is what is clarified from 1st October. They say that when I put a bet, I get a chance to win a certain amount, either by playing that game or participating in that contest like Dream 11. Now when IPL starts or any big series starts like World Cup and all, they have all these different contests where you pay some amount and you participate in the contracts, you create your team, etc., etc. Now, in such cases, they say that what is the supply? The supply is the actionable claim. What is this actionable claim? By putting this 100 rupees bet, you have a chance of winning some amount. So like lottery is also actionable claim. In fact, it is actionable claim from day one. This online gaming, online money gaming has been introduced in actionable claim very recently from 1st October 2023 when they brought this amendment. So now what is this supply? They are saying the supply is the actionable claim involved in this bet. What is that actionable claim? That tomorrow if you win, you have the claim over the company to recover your amount. So company is the supplier of this actionable claim by you making the payment of 100, which is your consideration. Against that, the company is giving you the actionable claim, whereby tomorrow if you win, you have the rights to claim that money legally from the company. So this is whole point, which is supply, and this online gaming company is now called as the supplier. So now with this background, when you read the definition of supplier, you'll understand. So who is supplier? Now this is keeping in mind online gaming company, read this. It is the person who organizes or arranges either directly or indirectly what it is arranging supply of specified actionable claims. What is this actionable claim? I pay 100 rupees and the company is giving me the right to win or lose. And if I win, then I have the claim on that money amount. This is the actionable claim which the company is giving when I pay rupees 100 to the company. So what is the supply? So who is the supplier? It is the person. Now, who is this person? The online gaming company who organizes, arranges directly, indirectly what? Supply of actionable claim. And it includes a person who owns, operates, and manages the digital or electronic platform. Now, say today, majority of this gaming is happening online through some portal, through some platform. So even this platform, the person who is running this platform, that is also a supplier for such supply and shall be deemed to be the supplier of the actionable claim. Now, this is very important. See, technically, if you ask me, I believe this is not exactly the supply, but the lawmakers wanted to tax it. That is why they have deemed this to be a supply, and the gaming companies, they have deemed to be the supplier of the actionable claim. Now, whether such actionable claim are supplied by him, that is by the gaming company, or through him. Now, what is this or through him? Because many times when you are playing a game with some other person, actually the gaming company is only acting as a mediator, whereby we both are putting 100 and whoever wins will get that 200. That is how it is. So technically the gaming companies are not going to give you the win amount. The win amount is actually going to come from the other person, but it is going to come through the gaming company. So they are saying it may be either the gaming company, that is the supply may be by the gaming company or through them. And whether the consideration is in money or money's worth, including virtual digital assets. Now, if you know on this online platform, now people are even playing by using bitcoins or any type of cryptocurrencies. That is why they have said that the consideration that you are paying may be money, like how we pay money in monetary terms, or it may be in the form of virtual digital assets. Because now many gaming companies accept that you make the payment in bitcoins and similar all virtual digital assets. For supply of such actionable claim is paid or conveyed to him through him or placed at his disposal in any manner. Now, this consideration is paid either to the company or is kept at their disposal. What is their disposal? When different players are playing, the company is collecting the amount and keeping it at its disposal as a custodian. So that tomorrow, whoever wins, the company will hand over the entire amount to them. So see how this entire definition is designed. And then it says, and all the provisions of this act shall apply to such supplier of specified actionable claim as if he is a supplier liable to pay tax in relation to the supply of actionable claims. Now, Hemant, I think now you would have understood this definition very clearly when you understand the context of why this particular definition was made. Is this clear, Hemant?
Sir, if it is digital asset, how it will be converted to rupee terms?
See, again, Hemant, till now, they have not given any conversion rate because as you know, virtual digital assets conversion rate fluctuates every day, rather every minute, right? Something happens in America, like Trump wins or Trump loses, this also has impact on the Bitcoin. because everybody knows once a particular power changes, there could be different laws which may affect positively or negatively the Bitcoin. Tomorrow, when Elon Musk does something, again the Bitcoin changes. So the point is that nobody can define what is the exchange rate. Hence, as on date, they have also not specified how they will convert. So maybe you can say that practically like how what happens, many of these gaming companies gives you option that you pay in rupees, it is 100. You pay in dollars, it will be 1.1. You pay in euro, maybe it will be something. Similarly, if you pay in Bitcoin, it will be 0.0000 something. So that way you can convert it into money because that will be given over there. Different options will be given. You have to select by which option you want to pay. So for the timing, that is how it will be converted into rupees. Fine, beta. Now, recipient definition is very simple. Under GST, recipient is the person who is liable to pay the consideration. One, that is clause A. And where there is no consideration because it is a free supply, like Schedule 1 supply. In that case, B and C says it is a person to whom the goods are delivered or to whom the service is provided. So first is A, where the supply is for a consideration, recipient is the person liable to pay. B and C, where it is a free supply, then the person recipient is the person to whom the goods are delivered or to whom the service is supplied. Fine. And it also includes the agent. Then person includes all these persons. It is similar to income tax with only one difference. In income tax, government is not included in the definition of person. So this point is missing when you study the income tax law definition of person. Otherwise, the entire definition of income tax person and GST person is the same. Okay. Now we come to the definition of supply and the related schedules. Section 7 covers supply in different subsections. You have subsection 1, 1A, 2, 3. Then it has to be read with various schedules 1, 2, and 3, out of which we covered one schedule. And then we have a special scenario of composite and mixed supplies. Now, let me first give you a brief of how to understand supply. So in supply, there are 3 schedules, 1, 2, 3, correct? Pay attention. When there are 3 schedules, Schedule 3 deals with what is not regarded as supply. The rule is you have to first check Schedule 3. So how to check whether your transaction is supply or not? First check whether your transaction fits in Schedule 3. If your transaction is fitting in Schedule 3, point is over. Because Schedule 3 covers those transactions which are neither goods, neither service, means supply of goods, supply of service. It means they are no supply transactions. So if you are covered in Schedule 3, matter is over. No need to look further. It will be not a supply, not taxable. If your transaction is not fitting in Schedule 3, then you come to Section 7 bracket 1, which gives the basic 4 conditions for determining whether your transaction is a supply. That is, it should be one of the commercial transactions of sale, barter, exchange. 2, it should be having good service. 3, consideration. 4, in relation to business. Now, in case your transaction is without consideration, so technically it is not satisfying one of these 4 conditions, so it should not fit in Section 7.1. However, you have a possibility of still fitting it in supply because Section 7.1c says that where a transaction is without consideration, it may still be treated as supply if it is covered in Schedule 1. So then you go to Schedule 1 and check at whether your free supply, no consideration means free supply, is one of the activities listed out in Schedule 1. If yes, it will be treated as a supply. If you cross this barrier that your transaction is finally a supply, either because all 4 conditions are satisfied or because it fits in Schedule 1, then you go to the next step. That is, as per Section 7 bracket 1A, you determine whether it will be treated as supply of goods or supply of service. That is, you do the classification as per Schedule 2. Yes, Hemant, you can call them as non-supply or no supply cases. Fine. So how 7.1 or the definition of supply is designed. So 7.1 is the basic definition giving the four conditions. So it says what is supply? Supply will include all forms of supply. And what are these all forms of supply? It has defined. It is sale, transfer, barter, etc. But this is inclusive, so it means it can include other transactions also. This is just an example. Most important, these transactions should be of goods, service, or both. So this is your second condition. Third condition, these are made or agreed to be made for a consideration. That is, it should be for a price. And last is, it should be in the course or furtherance of business. If any of these conditions are not satisfied, it will not be supply as per 7.1a. But as we just saw, even without consideration, it can be supply. That is because there is 7.1c. Or even if it is not in relation to business, still it can be supply because it is 7.1b. 7.1b covers what? Importation of service, which is for consideration, but which is not in the course of business. So where you are importing services for personal use, still it can be supply. So this is your exception to the condition of business. And 7.1c is the exception to the condition of consideration. So as per 7.1c, activities which are listed out in Schedule 1 will be a supply even though made without consideration. Now in this is an amendment. If you remember, we discussed this also in detail, that there was a decision in the case of Kolkata Club case, whereby the Honorable Supreme Court gave a verdict that where an unregistered body like a club, and it is unregistered, is giving some services to its members, there can be no supply because an unregistered body and its members are one and the same. This is the general rule of law, not only GST, it is a general rule of law. To override this decision and treat this also as supply, 7.1AA was introduced, and it is introduced retrospectively, which says that activities transaction by a person other than individual. So basically, they want to cover clubs and such bodies to its members, constituted vice versa for cash, deferred payment, etc., etc. And further in the explanation, it says that this rule will be applicable notwithstanding anything contained in any other law. So whatever is given in any other law will make no difference because all other laws do not consider these as separate persons. And it is also notwithstanding anything which is decided in any judgment or decree of a court. So irrespective of what is given over in any other law or in judgment, these two persons will be deemed to be two separate persons. So basically, the challenge was not of supply. The challenge was that they are not separate, they are one and the same. And if it is one and the same, you cannot make supply to yourself, and hence it would be no supply. To overcome that, this amendment was made. You have 7.1a, which says that once you have classified the transaction that it is a supply, now classified whether it is supply of goods or service. So this will study at the end to determine which will be supply of goods, which will be supply of service. And then subsection 2 says that there could be certain transactions which cannot be taxed because they are falling in Schedule 3, and falling in Schedule 3 means they are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Again, Part B says that again there could be some transactions which cannot be taxed. Why? Because these transactions are again treated as if they are neither supply of goods nor supply of service. So what we call as no supply or negative list can be by two ways. One, either because it is covered in Schedule 3, or two, because these are some activities transaction undertaken by central government, state government, local authority, and which are specifically regarded as no supply transactions. So one of these happens, your transaction is no supply. Fine. Then we go to the detailings of supply, whatever we discussed. In this, as you can see, we discussed this also in the last lecture. In the IGST Act, everything is not repeated. So whatever you are studying in CGST Act, in general, applies to the IGST Act automatically. How? Through Section 20. So Section 20 of the IGST Act says that whatever you are studying in CGST Act, they have given a list of various things like supply, like registration, input tax rate, etc., etc. They are saying all the provisions of CGST Act would apply to IGST Act mutatis mutandis. So you will not study any separate definition of supply or any separate concept of composite mix supply in the IGST Act, but they all apply over there. So now these are the requirements for anything to be supply. Then exception is Schedule 1, where even supply will be without consideration. Then the another exception is importation, where it can be supply even when it is not in the course of business, that is, it is personal. And then you have Schedule 3, which is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. And finally, once anything is supply, you determine the nature, that is, you classify whether it is supply of goods or supply of service. This is the broad structuring of the entire supply definition, right? Now, so supply, in order to materialize, should be either of goods or service. Then here we have a discussion on what can be goods, what can be service. Then we already discussed this. Goods means movable, other than money security. Service is everything other than goods and also excludes money security. And then both includes what? Goods include actionable claim. Services includes money, use of money, conversion of money, etc. Correct? So again, now the same thing is repeated in a diagrammatic form. So I'm just proceeding to something new or different that we find. We discuss all this like about charitable institutions. When they give donations, somebody gives donation to charitable institution, the donation cannot be considered as a consideration because there is no quid pro quo from the side of the charitable institution. Here again, a point is clarified that where I give a donation and the charitable institution is putting my name somewhere in their premises, whether this will amount to a supply, answer is no, until and unless by putting that name, I'm getting some benefit for my business. So this is what is highlighted. So until unless it is aimed to give benefit to my business by advertising my business, simply putting my name is only a social recognition. It will not be a supply. So this has been clarified by this circular. We discussed this. Another thing we discussed is when the artist sent their artwork to the galleries for putting in exhibition, simply sending to galleries cannot be a supply. Thirdly, we discussed this also. When you have taken out insurance policy, generally the health policy, which has to be renewed every year. If in past 2 years, you have not taken any claim, so just to promote you, push you to buy your policy for the third time, they say that, okay, now, since you have not taken any claim for past 2 years, I am giving you a benefit, which they call as no claim bonus. Some call it as an incentive. So it appears as if the insurance company is making payment of money to me because I have supplied them something. So this is what is clarified. You have not supplied them anything. In fact, they are also not giving you any money. It is just a discount that they are giving so that you buy the policy even for the third time. See what happens. Generally, as a human being, what we think, I bought in the first year and nothing happened. So I feel my money is wasted. In the second year, again, I purchased the policy by paying premium. Nothing happened. So I believe my amount is wasted. So I may not be induced to buy the policy for the third time. So just to push me to buy the policy for the third time, they have come up with this marketing gimmick. I will call it as marketing gimmick, like how different businesses do. This is how insurance policy does. So when they are saying that they are giving me this incentive or bonus, practically there is no supply. It is a discount, which is wrapped in the name of bonus or incentive. Again, this has been clarified by this circular. Then comes this particular point, salvage or a wreck value earmarked in claim assessment of damages cost to motor vehicle. Now, what is this? Now, see, you took a policy. Now, in this case, your policy is now materializing because actually some loss happened. So let us say you took a policy for your motor car. So it is a motor car insurance policy, vehicle insurance policy, and actually the car met with an accident. Now, in this particular case, you are demanding a claim amount. But there is also some salvage because your car, which is damaged or destroyed in the accident, will have some scrap value, will have some salvage value. Now, in this particular case, the question is, what will happen of this salvage value Means basically what they are asking is, let us say the insurance claim amount is of 5 lakhs, but the salvage is of rupees 20,000, right? So is it that as a person, I'm selling this salvage to somebody and getting that 20,000? So is there a supply? That is what is the question which is discussed over here in this circular. Now, what is the answer given by the circular is, in case of motor vehicle insurance provided by the insurance companies engaged in providing general insurance, such companies insure the cost of repairs, damages of motor vehicle insured by the policyholders. In case a claim is made by an insurer for damage of the motor vehicle while settling the said claim, where the general insurance company, as per the pre-decided terms of the insurance contract, first deduct the value of salvage. So they will say that their claim is of 5 lakhs, but the car after damage is still in the scrap form able to realize 20,000. So they will say, okay, you keep this scrap, you sell it in scrap, get your 20,000. I will pay you 5 lakhs minus 20,000. So what they are doing, they are deducting the value of salvage of the motor vehicle from the claim amount. So instead of paying me 5 lakhs, they are paying me 480. The salvage remains the property of the insured. So the scrap is my property and the insurance company are not liable to discharge GST on the same. Second, they do not deduct the value of salvage breakage of the motor vehicle and pay the full amount of insurance. The salvage becomes a property of the insurance company. Second option is, I give the salvage. I say, okay, you take the salvage. You say it is of 20,000. Okay, you keep the scrap car. You do whatever you want. You pay me my full 5 lakhs. Now, the insurance company will be obligated to discharge GST on the salvage. Now, why it will be obligated to discharge the GST on the salvage? Because in this particular case, this salvage is like scrap which is purchased by the insurance company, right? So again, they have mentioned the circular number where this has been clarified.
So why they have used the term discharge?
See, what is the meaning of discharge? Discharge means to pay. Discharge means to clear an obligation. That is what they have mean discharge. Yes, Jeannie, in order to pin, you can simply raise your hand so that I'll understand that you have a query. You can unmute and ask.
सर यानी वैसे तो अभी आपने जो समझाया उससे क्लियर हो गया, बट ये जो सैलवेज वैल्यू है, तो यानी जो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी है, अगर पूरा का पूरा सैलवेज वैल्यू भी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी के पास होता है, यानी वो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी फुल वैल्यू पे कर रही है, तो ये जब कंपनी उस कार को सेल करेगी तो जो भी सैलवेज वैल्यू आएगा उसके ऊपर कंपनी को जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा, इस तरीके का मीनिंग है?
Exactly. That is what it is, beta. You are right.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर.
That is what it is. Hemant, I hope you understood the meaning of discharge. Your doubt is also cleared.
That see, insurance company is going to collect GST from the scrap dealer.
Scrap dealer? Because it will be selling the scrap to either the scrap dealer or anybody who buys the scrap. So when it is selling the scrap in the market, it will collect GST from that salvage buyer.
Okay. Okay.
Correct, na? Okay. Then there is business definition. Then these are various examples. If you remember, we discussed even these examples of old gold bangles, old motor cars sold, right? So these are all clarified by way of some FAQs, by way of some flyers. So basic idea is, where any asset is part of your business and that asset is being sold after becoming scrap or after the useful life is over, then that is considered as part of business. But if the asset is your personal asset, like your personal phone, personal car, personal laptop, and after the life is over, now you don't need it, you will sell that particular motor car, it will not be considered as business and no GST is payable by you. So this is what is clarified in all these explanations. Then we also discuss this production sharing contract of petroleum companies. Then they have come to the definition of securities, where all these things are securities and hence there is no GST applicable on any of these items: shares, securities, derivatives, future contracts, forward contracts. So whatever of this are covered in the definition of securities as per the SCRA, those will not be liable to GST because they are not covered in the definition. They are covered in the definition of securities. However, where any of this is not covered in the definition of GST, definition of securities, then whenever you deal in those items, that will be liable to GST. Then GST on the service by way of extending deposit or loans. This is also what we discussed, where you are giving money on use. It is a service, but what you get in return is the interest. And there is no GST on interest where it is on loan, deposit, advance, because it is exempt, that you study in the exemption chapter. Okay. Now this is something very interesting. Now what happens, students? Many times law is simple, but we ourselves complicate the law, right? And this is one such example of complicating the law. How? Now what is the case? Security of subsidiary company in holding company. Now obviously, why I am holding company? Because I have purchased your securities, right? And I have purchased these securities and I am holding it as an investment in my balance sheet. Now here we all know that securities like shares are neither goods nor services. However, what has happened? See, securities including shares are considered neither as goods nor service, as we already discussed. Securities held by a holding company in subsidiary are neither goods nor service. Further, purchase or sale of shares or securities in itself is neither supply of goods nor supply of service. Now, this is all we know. But now, what is the challenge? Why this circular had to come? Merely because there is an entry in the scheme of classification of service to the effect. What is this entry? Now, this is what has created confusion. When you read the classification schedule of services, which is borrowed from the service tax era, which is copy pasted from there, there is one entry. What is the entry? Activity of holding of shares of subsidiary company by holding company per se cannot be supply of services. So there is an entry in the classification of service schedule. Unfortunately, we are not studying that because that is not part of your syllabus, but there is an entry which created a confusion because it dealt with or it is reading like holding of securities. Now, please understand, merely holding of securities is not a service. But since there is a specific entry, it created a lot of confusion. Hence, this circular was issued to clarify that when the shares of subsidiary company are held by the holding company, in fact, it has become holding company because it is having the shares of subsidiary company, it cannot be treated as supply of service by holding company to the subsidiary company. In fact, practically, if you think, how can there be any supply? Merely if I'm holding your shares, how am I supplying any service to you? Actually, there is no service. But the problem is there is a specific entry in the schedule, that is classification of services, which has created all this doubt. So this has been clarified, right? See, what is that entry? Here they have mentioned in the footnote. In the scheme of classification of service, there is an entry which says services provided by a holding company, that is holding securities or other equity interest of companies and enterprises for the purpose of owning controlling interest. Now, if you read this entry, it makes no sense at all. Now, see, please understand and appreciate, student, what GST we are today seeing is amalgamation of many earlier laws. In those earlier laws, there were very different reasons why such entries were there. Now, we simply amalgamated them by copy pasting everything as it is from different laws, but we forgot that in GST, many things have changed as compared to previous law. So maybe these entries are no more relevant. However, unfortunately, because they are already there, that is creating problems. So this circular was issued in 2023, very recently, just one year, few months before, which clarified that it will not be considered as supply of service. Yes, Jeannie, beta.
Sir, but the security and money is already out of the यानी वो तो वैसे भी जीएसटी से बाहर है ना, तो
Correct, but see, if you remember the definition of service, what it says, money is outside, but the activity of use of money, conversion of money
यस
is
सर,
service, plus the activity of facilitating the transaction in security is also service. Now
यस
this is the best example of जो अपन हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, बाल की खाल उखाड़ना, वैसे ही
यस
ये है कि जो नहीं है ना लॉ में, आप वो भी घुसेड़ रहे हो, आप वो भी पढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, आप उसको भी अननेसेसरी कॉम्प्लिकेट कर रहे हो. सो
हम्म
सिंपली यू आर होल्डिंग, सी आपके पास शेयर है किसी कंपनी के, और इनफैक्ट आपके पास शेयर है तभी आप उसके होल्डिंग यानी मालिक बनते हो. बट बाय सिंपली होल्डिंग, आर यू प्रोवाइडिंग एनी सर्विस? इज देयर एनी सर्विस ऑफ फैसिलिटेटिंग द ट्रांजेक्शन वगैरह जो सर्विस के डेफिनेशन में दिया? आंसर इज नो. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज कि क्योंकि हमने सिंपली कॉपी पेस्ट किया पुराना लॉ, काफी कुछ चीजें पुराने लॉ की नए लॉ में रिडंडेंट है,
हम्म
अननेसेसरी है, इनएप्लीकेबल है. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो ध्यान ही नहीं दिया गया है. तो अब बिकॉज ऑफ दी सर्क्यूलर्स एंड अमेंडमेंट्स धीरे धीरे ये चीजें निकलेंगी. मे बी इट इज नेक्स्ट 4-5 years बिफोर विच द जीएसटी लॉ कुड बी रियली स्ट्रीमलाइंड एंड मेड करेक्ट. फाइन.
सर,
Sir,
थैंक
here it talks about service by the holding company to the subsidiary. What is that? I didn't understand. Will there be a
सर
service
आई,
tax? Will
हेमंत,
there
आई
be?
ऑल्सो हैव नेवर अंडरस्टूड दिस. That's why I'm saying I also fail to understand what is the service. See, I read this again. Service provided by holding company. Okay. Further, what it says, that is holding securities of companies and enterprise for the purpose of owning a controlling interest. Now tell me, it is saying what is this service? It is the service of holding securities of other companies so that you have the controlling interest. But what is the service in this? No service.
तो सर
Are you
अगर
getting the point?
एग्जाम में आता है इस तरीके का तो हमें उसको जीएसटी कंसीडर करना चाहिए या नहीं?
बेटा प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, ये सब एग्जाम्स के लिए नहीं है. ये सब
अच्छा,
चीजें आपको क्लैरिफाई करनी, सी जो चीज लॉ में है ही नहीं, गलती है, आपको तो सिर्फ बता रहे हैं कि ये गलती को सुधारा गया है बाय दिस सर्कुलर.
ओके
करेक्ट.
ओके सर, ओके ओके,
व्हाई विल दे
यस सर,
आस्क दीस थिंग्स इन एग्जाम? जो गलत है उसे पूछ के क्या मतलब है? राइट.
यस सर,
सो डोंट वरी कि ये एग्जाम में ऐसा कुछ पूछेंगे. दिस विल नॉट बी आस्क्ड, बट आवर मॉड्यूल हैज टेकन द पेन ऑफ गिविंग यू ईच एंड एवरी सर्कुलर जो इतने 7 सालों में हुआ है. यू विल फाइंड एवरीथिंग इन दिस मॉड्यूल. भले वो चीज का कोई यूज नहीं है, क्योंकि उसको उल्टा क्लैरिफाई इसीलिए किया है, बताने के लिए कि भाई इसको आप भूल जाओ. ऐसे अपन बोलते हैं ना,
यस
किसी ने कुछ कहा, अपन बोलते हैं भाई एक काम करे, भूल जा तू. इट इज लाइक दिस कि भाई ये लिखा है लॉ में, बट इसे भूल जाओ बिकॉज इट इज इररेलेवेंट.
यस सर।
Sir, can you explain that unless the word unless is used
बेटा कहाँ पे अनलेस इज यूज्ड?
in that above?
बेटा मुझे नहीं समझा आपका सवाल क्या है, पहली बात. दूसरी बात, हेमंत, जो चीज को क्लैरिफाई कर दिया है कि नहीं है लॉ में, हम क्यों उस पर टाइम स्पेंड करना चाहते हैं? मतलब मुझे नहीं समझा, व्हाई आर यू सो मच इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस पॉइंट? आपका क्यों इंटरेस्ट है इस पॉइंट में, या क्या इंटरेस्ट है, मुझे नहीं समझा हेमंत. यस, प्लीज बेटा अनम्यूट एंड टेल मी व्हाट इज योर कंसर्न.
There is a word used here in the bold letters, unless.
यू आर
So
टॉकिंग
that,
अबाउट दिस अनलेस.
yes,
हाँ, सो बेटा क्या कहना है? उन्होंने कहा है कि ये जो एंट्री सर्विस टैक्स की कॉपी की है ना, जो मैंने नीचे अभी हाईलाइट की थी, वो एंट्री फिलहाल जीएसटी में सर्विस नहीं है. जीएसटी में सर्विस तभी होगा अगर देर इज अ सप्लाई जो कि सेक्शन 7 में फिट होता है. मतलब जहां पे जेन्युइनली कोई सप्लाई होगा उसे ही हम जीएसटी में सप्लाई और सर्विस मानेंगे. अभी फिलहाल जो ये एंट्री है सर्विस टैक्स से कॉपी की हुई, उसे हम सप्लाई नहीं मानते. दिस इज व्हाट दे हैव क्लैरिफाइड. सो जब तक, अनलेस का मतलब होता है जब तक हिंदी में, तो जब तक सेक्शन 7 के कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई करके जीएसटी वाला कोई भी काम आप नहीं करते जो सेक्शन 7 में आता है, तब तक. तो अनलेस क्या है? जब तक तब तक, हिंदी में बराबर. तो जब तक सेक्शन 7 वाले कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई नहीं होंगे, तब तक उसे हम सर्विस नहीं मानेंगे, सप्लाई नहीं मानेंगे. दैट इज व्हाट दे हैव क्लैरिफाइड. देन द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज अबाउट इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस, जहां पे आपने वो पर्सनल यूज के लिए भी लाया तो भी इट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज सप्लाई. दिस इज 7(1)(b). देन इफ यू रिमेंबर, वी आल्सो डिस्कस द एंटायर शेड्यूल 1 इन डिटेल. सो शेड्यूल 1 में क्या था? एक्टिविटीज विच आर ट्रीटेड एज सप्लाई इवन इफ विदाउट कंसिडरेशन। अब इसमें पहला एंट्री था जहां पे आपने अपने कोई भी बिजनेस के एसेट्स फ्री में दे दिए, दान कर दिए, और आपने खरीदते वक्त उस एसेट का इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट लिया था। सो एट द टाइम ऑफ परचेज यू हैड अवेल्ड द आईटीसी। ऐसे असेट्स को अगर आज आप परमानेंटली ट्रांसफर या डिस्पोज कर रहे हो, सादी वर्ड्स में डोनेट कर रहे हो, हम उसे सप्लाई मानेंगे, क्योंकि आपने खरीदते वक्त उसका आईटीसी लिया। तो इसी का ऑपोजिट क्या है? खरीदते वक्त जिन असेट्स का आईटीसी नहीं मिलता है, जैसे मोटर कार, कल अगर आपने वो डोनेट की तो वो शेड्यूल 1 में सप्लाई नहीं बनेगा। तो पहली बार शेड्यूल 1 में सप्लाई क्या बन रहा है? जिसका आपने आईटीसी लिया था बिजनेस असेट का, जो आज आप फ्री में दे रहे हो। सो फर्स्टली शेड्यूल 1 में आने के लिए थिंग्स हैव टू बी फ्री, दैट इज विदाउट कंसिडरेशन। और फ्री कौन कौन से सिनेरियोज में आएगा? उसमें पहला सिनेरियो है जहां पे आपने उसे दान कर दिया, जिसे इन्होंने कहा है परमानेंट ट्रांसफर और डिस्पोजल। इज दिस फाइन? सेकेंड एंट्री इज वेयर देर इज सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स और सर्विस। इन व्हाट सिनेरियो? बिटवीन रिलेटेड पर्संस। सो जहां पे रिलेटेड पर्सन एक दूसरे को कोई भी सप्लाई करेंगे, भले वो फ्री में कर रहे हैं, इट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज सप्लाई अंडर शेड्यूल 1। या जहां पे गुड्स या सर्विस कौन एक दूसरे को दे रहा है? डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन एक दूसरे को दे रहे हैं। हु आर डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन? डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन आर मैं ही इन डिफरेंट स्टेट्स हैविंग डिफरेंट जीएसटी नंबर। So where the same person is having multiple GST number, he is called as distinct person, right? So the point is, distinct person means same PAN having multiple registrations. Now, if my one office or my one shop transfer goods or service free to my another office or shop, Schedule 1 says we will treat it as supply. अब इसमें ये जो पॉइंट था, सप्लाई बिटवीन रिलेटेड पर्संस विल बी ट्रीटेड एज सप्लाई इवन इफ इट इज फ्री। और रिलेटेड पर्संस के डेफिनेशन में, if you रिमेंबर, एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय है, तो उसमें एक एक्सेप्शन भी है जहां पे एम्प्लॉयर अपने एम्प्लॉय को गिफ्ट देता है एंड द गिफ्ट is not exceeding 50,000, we will not consider it as supply under this schedule. Fine. Next, third scenario is, अब this scenario covers only goods. अब कौन सा केस है सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स में? जहां पे प्रिंसिपल एजेंट्स को गुड दे रहा है या एजेंट प्रिंसिपल को दे रहा है, एंड इट इज अगेन डन without consideration in that particular case where principal sends the goods to agent or agent sends the goods to principal, it will be considered as supply. And last, again, import of service. अब यहाँ पे import of service में important point क्या है? Import of service is done without consideration because we are studying this schedule 1. So it is done without consideration and it is done from a related person or from your own office which is outside India. So आप import किससे कर रहे हैं? आपका इंडिया के बाहर कोई ऑफिस या ब्रांच है या आपका कोई रिलेटेड पर्सन है, वो अगर आपको बाहर से कोई भी सर्विस इंडिया में सप्लाई कर रहा है, विच इज इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस, इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस it will be considered as supply under schedule 1 even though it is without consideration. So ये वो चार entries है. Again they have given description. So there are multiple examples given. This is the definition of related persons. Who all are considered as related? Directors, officers of one another's business, partners, employer employee, person जिसके पास आपके बिजनेस में 25% से ज्यादा का होल्डिंग है. Next, where one person controls the other, or next, third person controls both of them, or together they are controlled by another person, and so on. So all these are the requirements of related persons. See, all this we are repeating from the previous lecture. So I'm just going upar se, where you want me to detail something, let me know. And whatever we are finding new in module, that is what we are discussing in detail. Okay, so these are all cases of transfer. Now, this is an interesting clarification. See again, आपको clarification समझे उसके लिए पहले उसका हम background समझेंगे, then you'll understand why this clarification is there. Like how we discussed the definition of supplier. When you understood the background of the previous scenario, you then understand what is happening and why this circular is issued, right? So now what is this case? I'll first read out the case, then I'll give you the brief of what this clarification is and why this clarification is. So molds and dies owned by original equipment manufacturer that are sent free of cost to the component manufacturer in the course or furtherance of business do not constitute supply since they are not related or distinct persons. वापस ये एक सिंपल क्लैरिफिकेटरी सर्कुलर है जिसमें कुछ भी कोई भी नई बात नहीं दी है, बट व्हाई दिस क्लैरिफिकेशन वाज इशूड बिकॉज मेनी पीपल हैड कंफ्यूजन. अब सबसे पहली बात, ऊपर जो हम शेड्यूल 1 पढ़ रहे हैं, इन दैट शेड्यूल 1 एनीथिंग विल बी डीम्ड टू बी अ सप्लाई even made without consideration, but only in those 4 case scenarios. 1, permanent transfer of business asset on which ITC is taken. 2, between related persons or distinct persons. 3, principal agent. और 4, import of service. अब प्रॉब्लम ये होता है कि व्हेन यू रीड समथिंग लाइक शेड्यूल 1 जिसका हेडिंग है कि सप्लाई इवन विदाउट कंसिडरेशन, मेनी टाइम्स इट सो हैपेंस दैट ये हमारे जहन में बैठ जाता है, दिमाग में बैठ जाता है कि अच्छा फ्री में भी सप्लाई हुआ ना, इट विल बी टैक्सेबल. हाउएवर वी फॉरगेट दैट इट इज कमिंग विद सम कंडीशंस. नाउ we forget those conditions and that is why these confusions arise. And I'm talking about whom? I'm not talking about students, क्योंकि students तो पहली बार पढ़ रहे हैं. All these are confusions with professionals, with tax departments, with industry. उनके clarification के लिए सारे circulars आए हैं और भी आ रहे हैं. अब इसमें एज ए स्टूडेंट आपके लिए समझने वाली बात क्या है, कुछ वर्ड्स जो आपको अब तक नहीं पता है, विच विल बी जो अभी मैं यहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन करूंगा, इट विल बी हेल्पफुल टू यू इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग इवन अदर टॉपिक्स एंड कॉन्सेप्ट्स वेयर सेम कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर यूज्ड. सो ये एक नया वर्ड आपको ध्यान में रखना है, दैट इज OEM. Now what is this word? The word is OEM. OEM का फुल फॉर्म है ओरिजिनल इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर और दूसरा इसमें पर्सन है कंपोनेंट मैन्युफैक्चरर. अब ये क्या होता है पहले समझते हैं. सो आई एम महिंद्रा एंड महिंद्रा कंपनी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग मोटर कार्स, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ट्रक्स. So I become the original equipment manufacturer, OEM. Now Mahindra and Mahindra truck requires minimum 500 small and big parts, which I may not be myself manufacturing. Rather आज का मॉडल ये है, no big company manufactures everything in house. They get it manufactured from outside. वो यहाँ पे सिर्फ assemble करते हैं. जैसे मोबाइल फोन भी आपने सुना रहेगा तो ऐसे ही बनता है, मोबाइल फोन के पार्ट्स अलग अलग लोग बनाते हैं and we only assemble it here, right? Now in this particular case I have appointed you as my component manufacturer. So let us say मेरे व्हीकल में लगने वाला जो इंजन है, आई एम गेटिंग मैन्युफैक्चर्ड फ्रॉम यू. अब ऑब्वियसली जिससे मैं इंजन जैसा कोई एक इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट बनवा के ले रहा हूँ, उसको सारा डिजाइन सब कुछ मैं दे रहा हूँ. मेरा आपके साथ एक प्रॉपर लॉन्ग टर्म कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. आपको लगने वाला सारा टेक्निकल नो हाउ गाइडेंस सब मेरे यहाँ से इंजीनियर्स आके देंगे, सो दैट यू कैन मैन्युफैक्चर द इक्विपमेंट इन द परफेक्ट मैनर. फाइन. अब कितनी बार ये होता है कि ताकि आप मेरा ये इंजन अच्छे से बना सको या मेरे डिजायर्ड क्वालिटी का बना सको, ये इंजन को बनाने के लिए आपको जो मोल्ड्स एंड डाइस चाहिए, those molds and dies I supply to you free of cost. So I am Mahindra and Mahindra company manufacturing jeeps, manufacturing trucks. For one of my trucks, the engine is made by you. In order that you make the engines as per my design, my requirement, I am sending you the molds and dies. Molds और dies क्या होते हैं? वो सांचे होते हैं जिसमें वो प्रोडक्ट बनता है, that is molds, that is dies. So ये सांचे मैं ही आपको यहाँ से भेज रहा हूँ कि बाबा you use these molds and dies and make the engine as per my requirement and send it to me. Now I am sending it to you free of cost क्योंकि भाई आप मेरे लिए काम कर रहे हो. So मैंने आपको ये molds and dies free of cost दी. Now the question is, since I am sending to you something free of cost, क्या वो शेड्यूल 1 में आता है, and whether I have to pay tax under schedule 1 treating it as a supply? Answer is no. Why no? बिकॉज वाई डज नॉट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट अ सप्लाई, भले मैंने आपको फ्री दिया, क्या आप और मैं रिलेटेड ये पर्सन या डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन है? पहली बात, डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन है नहीं, क्योंकि मेरा ही दूसरा ब्रांच आप नहीं हो, सिंपल। और रिलेटेड पर्सन भी नहीं है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो रिलेटेड पर्सन का डेफिनेशन था ऊपर, उसमें हम कहीं पे भी फिट नहीं होते। क्या हम डायरेक्टर्स हैं एक दूसरे के बिजनेस के? नहीं। आर वी पार्टनर्स? नो। आर वी एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय? नो। क्या मैंने आपके यहाँ पे 25% शेयर्स होल्ड किए? नहीं। क्या हम में से कोई दूसरे को कंट्रोल कर रहा है? नहीं। क्या कोई थर्ड पर्सन हमें कंट्रोल कर रहा है? नहीं। क्या हम मिलके किसी थर्ड पर्सन को कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं? नहीं। क्या हम फैमिली मेंबर से? नहीं। और क्या आप मेरे सोल एजेंट हो? नहीं, यू आर नॉट माई एजेंट। So we are not fitting in any of the definition of related person. So अगर हम related person या distinct person में से कुछ भी नहीं है, तो शेड्यूल 1 हमको लागू ही नहीं होता है। फिर मैं आपको कुछ भी फ्री में सप्लाई कर रहा हूँ, एंड एक्चुअली रिमेंबर वन थिंग, इट इज नॉट फ्री एज सच। ठीक है, मैं आपसे पैसे नहीं ले रहा हूँ, बट एक्चुअली आई हैव नॉट सोल्ड इट टू यू। मैंने आपको कोई परमानेंटली नहीं दिया है। आई हैव गिवन इट सो दैट यू कैन यूज इट इन माई प्रोडक्ट। So there is no question of this becoming a supply under Schedule 1, क्योंकि जो मेन रिक्वायरमेंट है that we should be distinct person, related person, वही satisfied नहीं है. That is what is clarified. Is this fine? Understood why this circular is given? Then about gift, we have studied that up to 50,000, अगर employer employee को gift देता है, it is again not covered in Schedule 1, hence it is not a deemed supply. Principal agent we discussed, और प्रिंसिपल एजेंट के बारे में इफ यू रिमेंबर वी डिस्कस्ड दिस पॉइंट आल्सो रिगार्डिंग दी पॉइंट कि शेड्यूल 1 में कब आएगा प्रिंसिपल एजेंट वाला डीम्ड सप्लाई, वेयर द गुड्स आर सप्लाइड बाय द प्रिंसिपल टू एजेंट एंड द एजेंट इज गोइंग टू सप्लाई द गुड्स फर्दर इन हिज नेम। तो मैं जो गुड्स एजेंट को भेज रहा हूं वो एजेंट आगे अपने नाम से बेचने वाला है, then only it is falling in schedule 1. So जब मैं एजेंट को गुड्स भेजूंगा under schedule 1, it is deemed to be a supply. This is clarified. We discussed this last time also. Then if you remember, we also discussed the concept of del creditor agent. कि del creditor agent में भी यही point clarified है. Yes, Hemant says sir 1.46. Okay. What is 1.46? हेमंत इज saying 27. ओके, 27 किस रिलेशन में लिया है? ओके, इस रिलेशन में लिया. सो व्हाट इज दिस पॉइंट? लेट मी फर्स्ट रीड. It follows therefrom that the perquisites provided by the employer to the employee in terms of contractual agreement between the employer and employee will not be subject to GST. Okay. Further, input tax credit scheme under GST does not allow ITC of membership, club, fitness, etc. Consequently, if such services are provided free of charge to all employees by employer, then the same will not be subject to GST. Okay. The same would hold true for free housing to employees, where the same is provided in terms of contract between employer and employee and is part and parcel of cost to company. Fine. So firstly, Hemant, what is this whole point? जिसके लिए 27 वाला clarification है. Firstly, let us understand the point, then I'll go to the clarification. See, employer providing anything to the employee, if it is part of my service contract, it is not supply. Why? Because it is covered in schedule 3. Like यहाँ पे जो examples दिए, आप मेरे पास job करते हो, so I have to give you salary. Now if you remember salary chapter, I'll give you salary in money form, which will be basic salary, allowances, bonus, commission, etc. Plus I will give you perquisites. अब जब मैं आपको परक्विजिट दे रहा हूं, जैसे मैंने आपको रहने को घर दिया, यूज करने को गाड़ी दी, विल इट बी सेड कि जब मैं आपको रहने को घर दे रहा हूँ, यूज करने को गाड़ी दे रहा हूं, मैं आपके लिए कोई नया सप्लाई कर रहा हूं? आंसर इज नो. दिस इज व्हाट इज क्लैरिफाइड. सो व्हेनेवर एम्प्लॉयर गिव्स एनी परक्विजिट टू द एम्प्लॉय and the perquisite is given in terms of the contract between the employer and employee, and it is part and parcel of the CTC, it is not regarded as perquisite, is not regarded as a supply. This is clarified. अब इसमें 27 क्या बोलता है? It is possible to take an alternative view. What is this? The scenario that is employer providing services free of charge to the employee in lieu of the services provided by the employee to the employer in the course of employment is an exchange transaction. So ऊपर पहला क्या बोला है? आप मेरे पास जॉब कर रहे हो, और मेरे जॉब के कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में लिखा है कि मैं आपको रहने को घर दूंगा, मैं आपको यूज करने को कार दूंगा, ऑल दीज आर कॉल्ड एज परक्विजिट्स। अब पहला ऊपर मेन पॉइंट क्या है, व्हेन एम्प्लॉयर इज गिविंग यू ऑल दीज थिंग्स, इज एम्प्लॉयर मेकिंग अ सप्लाई? दे हैव सेड नो, बिकॉज ये सप्लाई नहीं है, ये मेरा कंसिडरेशन है, क्योंकि आप मेरे पास जॉब कर रहे हो, और आप जो मेरे पास जॉब कर रहे हो वो शेड्यूल 3 में नो सप्लाई है, ये हम जानते हैं। सो जो भी मैं उसके बदले में आपको कंसिडरेशन दे रहा हूँ, विच इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ परक्विजिट्स, इट इज नॉट रेटेड एज सप्लाई। फर्स्ट ऊपर वाला पॉइंट। अब नीचे प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड डियर स्टूडेंट्स, आप ये जो जीएसटी लॉ पढ़ रहे हो, इट इज ओनली अ 7 year old बेबी। 7 साल का बच्चा है वो, जो अभी बड़ा हो रहा है, वो भी बहुत कुछ सीखेगा, बहुत कुछ चेंज होगा, जैसे हम सब चेंज हुए फ्रॉम अवर चाइल्डहुड टू अडल्टहुड टू नाउ मेच्योरिटी। सेम थिंग विल हैपन with GST law because it has happened with all new laws. Now, जैसे जैसे ये लॉ आगे बढ़ता है, देर आर डिफरेंट understandings, opinions taken on the same point, and many times people accept both opinions. So first opinion what we studied above is employer employee को जो perquisite दे रहा है, it is not considered as a supply because it is simply the consideration by the employer for the job which the employee has done. तो एम्प्लॉय ने जो मेरे लिए जॉब किया, उसके बदले में मैंने उसको कंसिडरेशन दिया है, रहने को घर, यूज करने को गाड़ी, यूज करने को लैपटॉप, यूज करने को मोबाइल। हम उससे सप्लाई नहीं मान सकते, क्योंकि जो जॉब है दैट इज कवर्ड इन शेड्यूल 3। सो वी ऑल नो वेजेस सैलरी इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ सप्लाई बिकॉज ऑफ शेड्यूल 3। तो जो मैं आपको परक्विजिट दे रहा हूं, इट इज पार्ट ऑफ वेजेस सैलरी, सो इट विल नॉट बी अ सप्लाई। फर्स्ट व्यू। सेकेंड व्यू इज इट इज लाइक एन एक्सचेंज ट्रांजैक्शन। सो सेकेंड व्यू क्या है, देयर इज एन एक्सचेंज ट्रांजैक्शन। व्हाट इज एक्सचेंज? आपने मेरे को जॉब वाला सर्विस दिया, मैंने आपको रेसिडेंस वाला सर्विस दिया। नाउ इन एक्सचेंज ट्रांजैक्शन बोथ द पार्टीज इंडिपेंडेंटली असेस द ट्रांजैक्शन स्टेटस। तो ये दूसरा व्यू हो गया। पहला व्यू तो क्या है, भाई ये जॉब वाला है ना, तो आप मेरे लिए जॉब कर रहे हो, मैं आपको बदले में या तो पैसे दूं पगार में, या रहने को जगह दे दूं, वो पगार ही है, इसलिए नो जीएसटी। फर्स्ट व्यू। सेकंड व्यू ऐसा नहीं है। क्या है सेकंड व्यू? आपने अलग सप्लाई दिया विच इज जॉब, ओके, दैट इज शेड्यूल 3 आउटसाइड जीएसटी, ओके। पर मैं जो आपको परक्विजिट दे रहा हूं, दैट इज एन इंडिपेंडेंट सप्लाई, आप उसको पगार नहीं मान सकते। इन दैट केस हम उसे एक इंडिपेंडेंट सप्लाई मानेंगे। कौन सा? भाई मैंने आपको रहने को घर दिया, तो वो एकोमोडेशन वाला सप्लाई हो गया। मैंने आपको यूज करने को गाड़ी दी, तो रेंटिंग ऑफ मोटर व्हीकल वाला सप्लाई हो गया। सो दिस इज द सेकेंड व्यू। सो इट सेज in exchange transaction, both parties independently assess the transaction. Thus, while service provided by employee to employer being covered in Schedule 3 is not a supply, services provided by employer to employee may constitute a supply. क्योंकि अब आपको उसको इंडिपेंडेंटली देखना है। तो इंडिपेंडेंटली मैं आपको जो दे रहा हूं वो पगार नहीं है, वो फर्स्ट व्यू था। सेकेंड व्यू इज वो एक अलग सप्लाई है, और अब आप उसको इंडिपेंडेंटली देखो कि वो शेड्यूल नहीं, वो सप्लाई के सारे पैरामीटर सेटिस्फाई कर रहा है क्या सेक्शन 7 के। इफ यस, तो आपको उसे टैक्स करना पड़ेगा। So it may constitute a supply in terms of 7(1)(c) read with para 2 of Schedule 1, since employer-employee are related person as per explanation. Further provisions of section 15 have been discussed, etc. etc. So this is simply, Hemant, they have given an alternative view, but let me inform you, the entire industry and everybody is following the main view कि मैं जो आपको बदले में दे रहा हूं, that is nothing but पगार, may be given in non-monetary form. And since पगार is outside GST, hence there is no supply, no GST. I hope this is clear, beta. Fine? Okay, great. Del creditor agent we have already discussed in detail last lecture, so I'm just skipping that. Import of service, ये सब हो चुका है with consideration, without consideration. Then we also discuss the sales promotion scheme. काफी बार स्कीम कौन सी होती है, एक पे एक फ्री, ये लिया तो इसके साथ ये फ्री। दे आर सेइंग दैट इन कमर्शियल वर्ल्ड नथिंग इज फ्री। इट इज लाइक आई एम गिविंग द सेकेंड आर्टिकल along with the first article for one single price. So don't consider it as free. It is not related to Schedule 1 क्योंकि वो free है ही नहीं. अगर free है ही नहीं तो Schedule 1 क्यों देखेंगे? Then it says आपको इसे देखना है from the point of view of composite supply. अगर मैंने आपको जैसे यहाँ पे एग्जांपल है टूथब्रश के साथ टूथपेस्ट दिया कि भाई इफ यू बाय अ टूथपेस्ट दिस टूथब्रश इज फ्री, काफी बार ये होता है. इफ यू बाय अ पर्टिकुलर टैल्कम पाउडर उसके साथ एक कोई तो छोटा सा क्रीम इज फ्री. In such a case, firstly they have clarified that what I am giving is not free because in commercial world there is nothing free. मैंने कॉस्टिंग करके उसका कॉस्ट ऑलरेडी मेरे मेन प्रोडक्ट के प्राइस में इंक्लूड कर लिया है. In this case, they say the circular or the clarification says you have to treat it that मैंने एक ही जो प्राइस लिया है it is a single price for two products combined. So firstly schedule 1 का कोई रोल नहीं है because it is not considered as free. फिर आता है सेकंड पॉइंट, तो फिर हमें इसे कैसे देखना है? दे से लुक इट फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ कॉम्पोजिट सप्लाई मिक्स सप्लाई, और वहां पे जो आपका आंसर आएगा उसके हिसाब से आप इसे टैक्स करोगे. सो कॉम्पोजिट सप्लाई मिक्स सप्लाई वी आर गोइंग टू सी वेरी सून. सिमिलरली प्री सैंपल्स आर सैंपल्स विच आर गिवन फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. काफी बार आप देखते हो काफी जगहों पे दे गिव यू स्मॉल पीस ऑफ दैट प्रोडक्ट, लाइक कोई परफ्यूम होगा या कोई चीज होगी उसका एक छोटा सा पीस देते हैं कि भाई एक ट्रायल मॉडल है आप ट्राई करो सो दैट आपको अच्छा लगेगा तो यू कैन कम एंड बाय. सो वेदर गिविंग फ्री इज सप्लाई, अगेन फ्री सैंपल्स एक्सेट्रा इज नॉट सप्लाई. बाय वन गेट वन फ्री, इट इज लाइक एक शर्ट खरीदा तो दूसरा आपको फ्री मिल रहा है. In this case, it is like you are giving two shirts for single price. So again, it will not be considered as Schedule 1. यहाँ पे तो composite supply, mix supply में भी जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Why? Because both are shirts. हाँ, एक टूथपेस्ट और एक टूथब्रश है, then you have to go to composite supply, mix supply, और फिर उसके हिसाब से taxability करना है. This is what has been clarified by circular number 92. फिर ये वो कोलकाता क्लब वाला केस जो हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, जहां पे कोई भी अनरजिस्टर्ड क्लब अपने मेंबर्स को कोई भी सर्विस दे रहा है. ये जजमेंट आया था ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट का कोलकाता क्लब केस में, जहां पे उन्होंने बोला था कि एक अनरजिस्टर्ड क्लब और मेंबर्स आर वन इन द सेम, तो हम अपने आप को सर्विस नहीं दे सकते. सो देयर इज नो सप्लाई नो जीएसटी. हाउएवर अब इसे ओवर रूल करने के लिए दिस अमेंडमेंट हैज बीन ब्रॉट इन द सप्लाई डेफिनेशन वेयर बाय सेक्शन 71AA हैज बीन इंसर्टेड व्हिच सेज कि इस केस में भी हम आपको दो इंडिपेंडेंट या डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन मानेंगे, डीम कर रहे हैं हम कि आप दोनों अलग हैं. एंड वंस वी आर डीमिंग यू आर डिफरेंट, automatically there is supply. Now till this point we discussed everything. Then we come to schedule 2. Just help me if I am not wrong. I think we also did schedule 2 also to some extent. Yes, students, just help me recall. Correct, no? Because I also remember doing schedule 2 with you all. Okay, no worries. I'll still revise. So see, what is schedule 2? Schedule 2 is basically helping you to decide whether the transaction will be called as supply of goods or supply of service. So now your transaction is a taxable supply. You have satisfied the parameters of supply, either the regular supply or schedule 1 deemed supply. So now it is a supply. Now we want to know what it will be, whether it will be supply of goods or whether it will be supply of service. For this, schedule 2 has given various case scenarios. Now I'll explain you schedule 2 from my perspective, may not be in their sequence, but it will be a logical sequence. So सबसे पहले आपने देखना है whether your transaction is of immovable property. अब अगर आपका ट्रांजैक्शन इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी का है, आंख बंद करके इट विल बी सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस, क्योंकि इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी गुड्स हो ही नहीं सकता, तो इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी का कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स नहीं हो सकता. सो द ट्रांजैक्शन ऑफ इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी इज ऑलवेज सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस. पॉइंट नंबर 1. ठीक है ये पॉइंट. अब ध्यान से सुनिए, पे अटेंशन. In immobile property transaction, there is a possibility. What is the possibility? The possibility is that in case of immovable property transaction, it may be either renting, leasing, occupying, it will always be service, or it may be buying the immobile property. Now, when it is buying the immobile property, it is Schedule 3. If you are buying land, or if you are buying completed building, that is a building of which completion certificate has been received. So if you are buying immobile property, it is also supply of service, but it may go to Schedule 3 if it is land or completed building. So sale of land, sale of completed building, even though service is outside GST, so no need to consider it under GST. But if you are booking a building which is still under consideration, जिसका अभी तक कंप्लीशन सर्टिफिकेट ऑक्यूपेंसी सर्टिफिकेट नहीं आया है, अभी भी वो अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन है, इनकम्प्लीट है, इन सच अ बिल्डिंग इफ यू बुक और बाय एनी शॉप, फ्लैट, ऑफिस, it will be considered as a taxable supply, and this taxable supply is deemed to be supply of service. I hope this is clear. So this is about immobile property. Now, अब immobile property जो चीज नहीं है उसके लिए क्या है? So if it is not immobile property, second possibility, it would be goods, that is it would be movable property. Third, it would be intangible assets. Fourth, it would be something like software. So अब इमोबल प्रॉपर्टी छोड़ दिया तो बाकी सारे ट्रांजेक्शन्स में क्या क्या आता है? एक जिसे हम बोलते हैं गुड्स, विच इज मूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, विच कैन बी फर्नीचर, मशीनरी, मोटर कार, एनी ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. Now for goods, what are the different entries saying? First, have you transferred the title in goods? Title means ownership. अब इसमें क्लैरिफाई किया है, या तो टाइटल आपका आज ट्रांसफर हो रहा है, या बिकॉज यू हैव एंटर्ड इनटू अ हायर परचेज और इंस्टॉलमेंट स्कीम, it may be transferred at a later date, but the ultimate transaction is for transfer of title, ownership. It will always be supply of goods. So where your transaction is for transferring the title, ownership, immediately or at a future date, it will be supply of goods. But where your transaction is only giving temporary rights to use the goods without giving the title. So मैंने आपको अपना एसेट भाड़े पे दिया है, गाड़ी भाड़े पे दी, मेरा कोई मशीनरी भाड़े पे दिया, हम डीजे सिस्टम भाड़े पे लाते हैं, हम जनरेटर, इलेक्ट्रिक जनरेटर भाड़े पे लाते. देयर आर सो मेनी इक्विपमेंट्स, मशीन्स व्हिच यू टेक ऑन रेंट. When you are not giving the complete ownership of the goods, you are giving only temporary rights to use, to occupy, to own, it will be supply of service. So for goods, the possibility is, one, you are transferring complete ownership. Two, you are giving temporary rights to use the goods. If it is complete ownership, either today or as you can see here, which will be at a future date, like in case of hire purchase, both is supply of goods because ultimately ownership is transferred. However, where it is temporary transferring the rights to use, not ownership, it will be supply of service. Clear? I hope this is very, very clear about goods. So first transaction, immobile property, second transaction, goods. Now third transaction is intangible properties, which is called as intellectual property. Patents, copyrights, trademarks. Now these are called as IPRs. Just remember these words, students. Now you will be requiring these words in future in different subjects. So IPR is intellectual property rights. What are intellectual property rights? Intellectual property rights are these various intangible assets which get registered under some specified act, and they get a status of a specific asset. Now, For intellectual property rights, that is intangible assets, the answer is same what we just studied for goods. What is that? If I am giving you the complete ownership of that intellectual property rights, that is, I have sold my patent to you. Now you are the owner of the patent. It is supply of goods. But where I am only giving my patent to use, for which I am charging royalty, I am only giving my brand name to use, like MACD. MACD is a US brand. It is not coming here and setting up its own outlet. We are taking the franchisee of MACD, franchisee of Naturals. So many, all these brands are on franchisee model, where they allow their brand name to be used by you, not by sale, by only permitting the right to use. It is supply of service. So against that, what we pay to them, we pay them royalty. It is supply of service. So this is the third, that is intangible assets, which covers intellectual property rights. Fourth, softwares. For softwares, what is the rule? Whether it is a standardized software, pre-codified, designed software, or the software is a customized software, that is as per your requirement, the software is made. If it is a customized software, where as per your requirement, the software is made, or the software is already made, but now I am adapting it, modifying it, all this is service. So for information technology, if I am codifying it for you, if I'm customizing it for you, if I'm adapting, if I'm modifying, all this becomes service. But if it is a standardized software, something like Tally, something like Quick Heal, these are standardized. They are not codifying for you. They are not even modifying, adapting for you. Their software is a standardized software. Now in this case, if I sell you the complete ownership of the software, or I sell you the complete rights of the software, it is supply of goods. But where I only give you a subscription to use my software for 1 year, 2 years, like what Quick Heal does. You never buy the Quick Heal. After 1 or 2 years, the Quick Heal automatically vanishes. It starts saying renew subscription. Renew subscription means it had only given you right to use the Quick Heal for 1 or 2 or 3 years. It was not permanent transfer. Tally, when you buy, even though the new versions of Tally would have come in the market, whatever you have purchased is still working in your PC. So you have outrightly purchased. In that case, it is supply of goods. So for now, this is the fourth category, which is for software. Then the fifth category covers other items, other transactions, like where you are carrying out some process on the goods belonging to others, which we call as job work. It is always service. Where business assets are transferred. Now this is important. Where business assets are transferred, one, whether independent assets are transferred or you are transferring the whole business as a going concern. If independent assets are transferred, it is again supply of goods. But where whole business is given as a going concern. So let us say today I am running a hotel. I am the owner of hotel. Today I am running airlines like this Indian Airlines, which was sold to Tatas. It is sold as a going concern. That is, till today I am the owner. From tomorrow Tatas is the owner. That is supply of service. Now again, for supply of business as a going concern, which is supply of service, there is an exemption because of student you don't pay GST, but it is supply of service. And then last point comes in this is composite supply. Now you'll say, sir, composite supply has a different section it, right? But here they have covered only two composite supplies, and those two composite supplies are this: works contract and supply of food articles for human consumption, which may be to eat or to drink. Now, for these two composite supplies, first is a works contract. What is works contract? Where there is a contract for building, constructing, fabricating, completing, etc., 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 any immovable property. So you are carrying out any of these activities for an immovable property, then that is called as works contract. So in works contract, what is very important is your activity of construction, improvement, installation, repairing, erection, renovation, whatever you are doing is of any immovable property. Maybe in doing this repair, renovation, construction, you are using goods like you use cement, you use steel, you use paint. That is okay. But what is the end result? It is immovable property. In that particular case, this contract is called as a works contract. Now, how it is composite? It is involving so many different types of goods, plus it is involving labor, that is service. All together leads to this immovable property, construction, installation, improvement, etc. We consider it as one, that is supply of works contract service. Similarly, where any food item is given. So, where any food or any other article which is used for human consumption or a drink is given, and it is given as a part of service. So I am giving goods, but it is given as a part of service. In such a case, it becomes a composite supply because again, food, which is goods, is given, but it is being served. It is given as a part of service. Like when you go to restaurants or when you hire a caterer, they are actually giving you some material, some food, but that is given how they are serving it to you. They are cooking as per your requirement. They put proper sitting arrangements. They have proper waiters for serving. They provide so many facilities like good ambience, AC, maybe some music, good light effects. All this together becomes the service, and in this service they are providing you food to eat, then that becomes a composite supply, and it is again treated as supply of service, which is named as restaurant, catering, etc. So that is what is composite supply. Hemant asks, sir, works contract, the execution of which is to be treated as service, para 6 say, schedule 2, etc. I do not understand the following. Works contract in which transfer of property. Yes, beta. See, I'll explain what it is. This is why it is firstly called as you can see the heading of this, para 6, it is saying composite supply. Why it is a composite supply? Just explain this. Let us say you want to construct a building. Now, for constructing a building, you'll require goods. There has to be transfer of goods in this contract, like cement, like steel, like all types of tiles, paints, different things which go in making the house. So whenever you are doing this contract, which is called as works contract, it involves transfer of property in goods. Now, what is property? Property is ownership. So until unless these goods are put in that building, now let us say the flat in which you are staying, that flat is actually made up of goods. So when the builder is selling you the flat, he is also selling you the property in goods. So all the items which are fitted, which has made up your flat, some which you can see like the tiles, like the wall paints, etc. And some which you cannot see, that is the cement, the steel inside. But all things are transferred by the builder, but as a composite supply, not as different things. That is why this entire is coming with a heading of the word composite supplies. So works contract is leading to immovable property, but for constructing, etc. of the immovable property, you require so many goods. All these goods together and applied on that labor makes up the immovable property. Is this fine, Hemant?
Sir, there is something called labor contract. See, the builder, what he does is he constructs a building by using his labor, and the owner of the property gives all the goods to him, all the construction materials.
Correct.
So, what will be then in that case? There is
Yes,
no
it is
property in
not a
goods.
works contract, beta, because it does not involve transfer of property in goods. So you have given a very good differentiation. So one is where I am using my, means I am giving you a contract and you are using everything, material, labor, everything you bring, it is a works contract. Second, what you gave example, which you differentiated very well, that I give you material, means I bring my own material, I only ask you to come and do the construction, right? In such a case, it is not a works contract. Then what you use is the correct word. It is the supply of service. So it is a labor. It is supply of manpower or supply of labor, and it is not, I repeat, it is not considered as works contract. Correct? Is this fine, Hemant Beda?
Okay, so what is the difference? Like, will there be any GST rate? Will it change?
Exactly. See, firstly, even though both are service, but in works contract, since it is now leading to construction, now you have different rates. In fact, the entire industry is different and there are different conditions, different restrictions. But when it comes to labor supply, it is altogether a different sector. So in case of labor supply, there is only one rate, that is 18%. But when you come to works contract, it is works contract may be of road, it may be of building, it may be of any type of plant. So there can be so many examples of works contract. It may be for some school, making the school building and all. It may be for making hospital building. It may be for government. It may be for private. It may be for any type of NPO. So there are so many options, right? So there is a difference. Then if you remember, we also discussed this applicability of GST on liquidated damages. What are liquidated damages? So whenever there is a breach of contract, in case of breach of contract, we always demand a compensation penalty. Now the question is whether this compensation penalty which you are getting is liable to GST. Now this is a very interesting circular which clarifies that in most of the cases, what you get in return, even though you are getting money, but is it leading to any supply from your side? Answer is no. There can be no supply when there is cancellation of a contract or when there is breach of contract. So hence there is no liability to GST. So this is the most important point, and this is the crucial point. Until and unless there is an express agreement. Express agreement for what? Okay, you do this for me or you don't do this for me. Like, I ask you not to compete with me, and for this I am ready to pay you some amount. So when there is an express contract for doing something or not doing something, then only it is a supply. But our contract was that you will construct a building for me, but you failed to construct the building for me, so I am imposing a penalty. Now what the department was saying, that why you are taking penalty? Because you have tolerated. What tolerated? Of him not doing something. But whether we agreed that he will not do something and I will tolerate that and hence he will pay me money? No. So that is what is important. In breach of contract, even though I get some compensation, which is called as liquidated damages, I never agreed for this. In fact, I wanted you to complete the work. But since you are not completing, as a punishment, I am taking some money. So it will not be liable to GST. That is what is clarified in this whole circular. So up to this point, if you remember, dear students, we had studied this in our previous session, and all these are the key points of your supply. The only one thing which is left, or the schedule which is left, is schedule 3. And also along with schedule 3, we have to go to the concept of composite supply and mixed supply. But before that, is anything up to this not understood by you? Again, this is of the same point of the OEM, that is original equipment supplier. So we have to start now from schedule 3 items. Anybody having any doubts up to this point? Okay, let us do one thing. Let us take a break here. So we will break for around 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, we'll cover the remaining 2 points in supply. One is schedule 3 and one is the composite and mixed supply concept. Fine. So we take a 15 minutes break. Yes. Hemant, I'll come back and explain this. Now, which was your point? Example 58. Forfeiture of earnest money by government or local authority in the event of successful bidder failing to act after winning the bid for allotment of natural resources. Okay, so what is your doubt, beta, here?
Why he has used the term natural resources? Should it not
Yeah.
be just resources?
Yeah, I'll tell you, because see, all these clarifications or all these pointers have come from real life case scenarios where any of these things have happened, and hence it is clarified whether it is taxable or not. Now, in case of government, I'll tell you better what happens. Like government gives you rights of forest, government gives you rights of minings. These are the rights which the government has, which the government gives to the person who is bidding. And later on, if the person fails to act according to the terms and conditions, so as what is given, the forfeiture, the earnest money or the security deposit is forfeited because he fails to comply with the conditions. Now, in this case, practically, since what government allots or what government has, like coal mines or mineral mines, all these things are called as natural resources only. That is why this particular case scenario where this happened, on the basis of which this clarification is given, happened in case of natural resources, so they have said natural resources. But as you are right, it is not necessary that it can be for natural resources, it can be for any resources. But since it is about government giving that particular bid, so government bids are for natural resources only. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we come to the next part, that is what are no supplies under GST. Now it is covered in two things. One is 7.2 clause A, second is 7.2 clause B. 7.2 clause A says the activities transactions which are specified in schedule 3 are no supply, and 7.2b says certain activities of transactions which are performed by the government. Why? Because they are entrusted with those functions as public authorities and which has been specifically notified. So we'll see both the list. First, we go to the Schedule 3 list. Now, the Schedule 3 list cover what type of transactions which are regarded as no supply. First is transaction where the employee gives services to the employer. And what type of service? The service which is in the course or in relation to employment. So where the service which is given by the employee to the employer is in the course of or in relation to employment, that is job, then whatever job the employee is doing is outside GST. Hence, there is no GST on the salary component. What is clarified? Only services that are provided by employee to employer in the course of employment. However, services provided outside ambit of employment will be a supply. I'll give you example. What is example? So let us say I am working as an employee in Hindustan Lever. Besides that, I am also doing in my free time consulting services, which is allowed by the company. Company has no objection. Now, for some matter, the company comes to me for my consultancy and I charge the company my consultancy fees how I charge to others. Now, in this case, I am charging this consultancy fee. I am getting the money from the company, but in another capacity. So one, I every month get a fixed salary, which is in the capacity of employee, which is falling in Schedule 3, no supply. But at the same time, from the same company, in this particular scenario, I am getting a specific transaction or a specific what do you say service which I am giving to the company, but here the capacity, the status is different. Here the service which I am giving to the company is given to them as a consultant. So this is what is clarified, where the services provided by me are outside the ambit of employment. So here we are in professional agreement and not in employer-employee agreement. It will not be Schedule 3. It means it will be a supply. So that is clarified. Second, Services of courts or tribunals. What are these services? For any dispute, we go to courts or tribunals. Over there, for getting our dispute listed and for going in for that particular dispute, we have to pay some fees. When we pay this particular fees, then only our dispute is heard and decided upon. This fees is not liable to GST because this fees we have paid to the courts or tribunals for the services that they are giving to us, and this is put in Schedule 3, hence it is outside GST. Now again, what is clarified is leviability of GST on amount fees charged by the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Now see, this is a specific body made under the Consumer Protection Act. Now when you go to this particular body, which is called as Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, and you again pay some fees for that, whether it would be liable to GST or not, it is clarified. So what is the clarification? Fees paid by the litigants while registering complaint to these commissions are also not leviable to GST. Any penalty in cash imposed by or amount paid by these commissions will also not attract GST. So why? Because these constitutions are also established under the law, under the Constitution of India. So they have the same status like tribunal. And that is why when you go to them, it is similar to going to a tribunal. Hence, it is not leviable to GST. Third comes the functions of these specialized persons. One, who are acting as members of parliament, members of state legislature, members of panchayat, etc. Second, activities which are performed by persons who are holding any post, and this post is created by the constitution, like the post of Comptroller General of India. Now what does Comptroller General does? He does audit only, and for that the Comptroller General charges audit fees. But when I as chartered accountant do audit, I do it in my professional capacity. But when, let us say tomorrow, I am appointed as the Auditor General, C&AG, that is Comptroller Auditor General, and then I do the same audit. Again, I charge the same audit fees. Now I am not doing it in my professional capacity. I am doing it in that constitutional capacity. So when I am holding any position which is created by Constitution, whatever services I will give will be outside GST. Similarly, duties performed again by another person who is having a position. What is a position? Chairperson or a member or a director, where in a body established by a central government, state government, etc. Again, their services are outside GST. Next important, very important is services of funeral, burial, crematorium. What are these? These are all different types of activities that is done after the death of a person. So under different culture, different rituals are there. In some cases they bury, in some cases they put it inside that tomb, in some cases we burn them. All these are different rituals, and let me inform you, dear students, there is a price for that. Nothing is free. So you have to pay a price to get these things done. Similarly, till the time this is done, many times the dead body is kept in the mortuary, for which there are some charges, and also the transportation of the dead body. All this is covered in this para 4 and example. Then comes para 5. We discussed already this. One is sale of land, and second is sale of building. Which building? Which is completed because it has been issued the completion certificate. So after the building has received the completion certificate, after that, if you book any flat in that, it will not be liable to GST. But opposite to this, if it is under construction and you are booking a flat, then it will be liable. Now, whether it is flat, shop, office, it is leviable to GST. Then it goes to Schedule 2, where it is treated as supply of service. And then comes the last category. Here, before amendment, it was actionable claims other than only 3 things: lottery, betting, gambling. Now, after that 1st October 2023 amendment, they have included this casino, they have included this online gambling, online money gaming, everything over here. So now they have changed the word. It is saying what is outside supply? Actionable claims. Now we know actionable claims are goods, but supply of actionable claims is not leviable to GST because it is put in Schedule 3, except those actionable claims which are specified. Now, what are these specified actionable claims? These specified actionable claims. Now, this list has been introduced from 1st October 2023. Betting, this was already there here. The additions are casino, gambling, horse racing, lottery was already there, and most important, online money gaming. So now these have been added over here. And now onwards, if you are engaged in supply of any of these actionable claims, it will be leviable to GST. But other than these actionable claims, if there is any other actionable claim that is outside GST, because all other actionable claims except these six are no supply because they are in Schedule 3. Now here we read the definition of online money gaming, which I explained at the start when I was explaining the supplier amendment. Online money gaming is online gaming in which the player pays or deposit money. So as I said, you put that 100 rupees as your stake money, including virtual digital asset. So either you put money or you give in virtual digital asset. Why you give it? In expectation of winning. So I have put it as a bet, as a stake. That okay, I'm putting 100 and playing Teen Patti, I'm putting 100 and playing Rummy, I'm putting 100 and playing Ludo, or I'm putting 100 because there is some contest who will win, I have to predict, and if my team wins, I will get the money. Or I have to create a team, Dream 11, and if the players whom I have selected have performed well in the match, I get some credit points, and then whoever is having the highest credit point wins. So these are the different models in which this online gaming operates, where I have an expectation of winning money or money's worth, including virtual digital assets, in any event, including game. So it may be a game or it may be an event like a contest like this Dream 11, or a scheme, or a competition, or any other activity or process. So it may be anything. It may be a game, it may be a competition, anything. Whether or not its outcome or performance is based on skill. Now see, the biggest issue on which the decision is pending with Honorable Supreme Court is that when somebody is playing game online or going to this casino and all, whether it is a game of skill or a game of chance. Because the moment it is game of skill, then the tax rate would be much lower. Right now, it is being treated not as a game of skill. That is why it is saying whether or not it is based on skill. So we don't care whether it is skill or not. We are assuming it is not skill. Because the moment you say it is game of skill, the answer would change. Then, so whether or not it is based on skill, chance, or both, and whether the same is permissible or otherwise under any other law. Now, this is interesting. Why this point has to be highlighted? Because if it is a game of chance, like it becomes a betting or gambling, different states have restriction on betting and gambling. Now, this particular point says we don't care whether it is permissible or not under other laws. For us, everything is online gaming and we will levy tax. Right? Now, online money gaming is where you put money. And what is online gaming? It is a more broader concept. It means offering of a game on internet or an electronic network and includes online money gaming. Right? Then what else is outside GST in Schedule 3? It is merchant trading. Now, what is merchant trading? I get an order from Europe to supply doormats. Now, doormats are made up of specific material, which is jute material. Generally, it is considered as the best. Now, these doormats are best made in Bangladesh because over there, the jute is also available of good quality and also the labor is very cheap. So what I do is, I have got this order from Europe to supply 1 lakh pieces of doormats. I am sitting in India. Instead of I making it here, I give the order to the person who is sitting in Bangladesh. Now, interestingly, when it will fall in this para 7, when I am not bringing it into India, that is, I am not importing and then exporting. I am not doing that. I am simply asking him, that is a Bangladesh person, to directly send it directly to this person who is sitting in Europe. So the goods are not coming to India. This is what is called as merchant trading, and it has been put in no supply. That is no GST is leviable. So what is it is saying? Supply of goods from a place in non-taxable territory. So I will read it as outside India. So supply is made in a place which is outside India. So from Bangladesh to another place which is also outside India. without the goods entering into India. This is what is no supply. Another thing which is no supply, now this you will understand because you have studied customs. In customs, we have seen that when goods are imported, there is a provision in customs which is for keeping the goods in the custom warehouse. Now, till the time the goods are kept in custom warehouse, the import is not complete. You are not leviable to customs duty. Now, you have the option to sell the goods while the goods are in custom warehouse. That is allowed in custom warehousing provisions. We have studied that. Now, my goods are imported from UK. I have not yet cleared it. I have asked the customs to keep it in custom warehouse. So they are kept in custom warehouse, which is called as into bond warehouse. Now, while the goods are into bond, that is in the custom warehouse, I get a customer. Let us say you approach me, you want to buy these goods from me. Now, you say that, sir, do one thing. You let the goods be in custom warehouse only because I also don't have space to keep the goods. You purchase the goods as is where is, that is where the goods are in the custom warehouse, and you in future whenever require will get the goods cleared from the warehouse. So for the time being, you also want the good to be kept in warehouse only. Now when I sell you the goods which are in custom warehouse, as per para 8a, it will be treated as no supply. And that is correct because what is kept in custom warehouse is treated as if it is not in India. And if it is not in India, there will be no GST applicable. And then 8b covers high sea sales. What are high sea sales? I have ordered some goods from UK. They are yet to reach India. They are still in the sea. They are still in transit. So it is one step before the above point. In above point, the goods had come to India and right now in the warehouse. This point is before that. The goods are still in the sea. They are still in transit. You approach me, you want to buy the goods. I said, Kiare, please wait. It will take 10-15 days. The goods will reach India. Then I will go and clear. You say, sir, no problem. You sell the goods to me now. Now, how I will sell the goods when they are not here? I will sell the goods by transferring the document of title. So this is how the goods which are in transit are sold in any case, whether it is in India or outside India, where I am not physically having the goods. I can sell the goods by transferring the document of title. So I transfer the goods to you, sell the goods to you by giving the document of title. In such a case, it is called as high sea sales because the goods are still in the high seas. And this is again regarded as no supply. So these are the transactions which are treated as no supply under GST. Now again, some clarification. Now you all know that the companies, they give to their employees ESOPs. ESOP is employee stock option plans, which are now having so many variations in employee stock purchase plan, employee stock option plan, restricted stock units. Now, what is the clarification? GST is not leviable on the compensation paid to the employee by the employer as per the terms of contract, since as seen earlier, the purchase or sale of securities in itself is neither a supply of goods nor a supply of service. Moreover, all these ESOP, etc., is a part of remuneration of the employee by the employer as per the terms of contract. So whenever employer gives any of these things and it is a part of the employee's contract, there will be no GST on any of these items. Now, after Schedule 3, we go to the second item, which is no supply. It is the items which are notified by way of notification. This is covered in section 7(2)(b). And this mainly covers what? It covers the activities, transaction undertaken by the central government, state government, local authorities in which they are acting as public authorities. So now these transactions are not normal transactions. These are transactions which are only done by government as public authorities. Now, some of these transactions are put in this particular list. Hence, they are to be treated as no supply. First, what are these transactions? First, it is any activity in relation to a function entrusted to a panchayat under Article 243G. So where the activity is done, and what is that activity? It is a function which was given to the panchayats. Now we all know in smaller villages, you don't have municipalities, you have panchayats. So those panchayats are allotted some functions which is covered in Article 243G of the Constitution. So when any of these activities are done, it is a no supply transaction. Similarly, where the activity is what is allotted to a municipality, means it is a function of the municipality under 243W of the Constitution. Again, it is a no supply transaction. So first, no supply transaction as per this category is any activity which is the function of panchayat or municipality as per the Constitution. Second, now we all know liquor is outside GST. Now this point is not about liquor. There is no need to give notification for keeping liquor outside. This is granting liquor license. So we have all these liquor shops, we have these bars where liquor is served or liquor is sold. Now you cannot directly start buying, selling liquor. You need a license. That is why all these bars are called as permit rooms, and all these liquor shops are all licensed shops, and they are under the strict supervision of the government. In fact, recently we had this famous Delhi liquor policy where there was a big issue where even the chief minister, the other ministers were inside the jail because of that liquor policy. That was all relating to this license only. It was relating to the liquor license. Now, the point is that when government grants liquor license, it is charging some fees. In this particular case, the fees which the government is charging for giving this liquor license, that particular fees is what is put in this no supply category. So actually there is no logic in this. Technically they should not have done this, but again there are a lot of different political and other pressures because of which certain amendments are brought. So this particular point of sale of liquor license by the government to these liquor shops has been kept outside GST. Then again, there are certain items which are treated as no supplies, but these are clarified by circulars. Now interesting. Again, after reading these circulars, you'll realize that how people distort law, how they interpret what is not written in the law unnecessarily. And I really found this particular point very absurd. Means as a normal layman, as a rational person, I don't believe people should have gone into all this mess, and this circular should not have been required, but people got into the mess. So government had to clarify. What is this? Interesting, but at the same time absurd. I am a transporter. I run my buses. Now, what is my business? Let us say my buses run from Mumbai to Goa, Mumbai to Ahmedabad, Mumbai to Hyderabad. On different routes, my buses are running. Now, generally, all these bus operators, we call them as bus operators, what they do is, since they are running their buses between different places, they always open offices in all these places. So if my bus is running between Mumbai to Ahmedabad, I'll have one office in Mumbai, one in Ahmedabad. If my bus is going to Goa, if my bus is going to Hyderabad, if my bus is going to, let us say, Indore, for all these places, wherever my buses is going, I have my own office. Why? Because bookings are done from both sides. Now, as we have discussed earlier also, if I have multiple places of business in different states, I have to register each place separately. So I have one registration in Maharashtra, one in Gujarat, one in Hyderabad, one in your MP, one maybe in your Delhi, etc. So I am a distinct person because I have these many registrations. Now, we read Schedule 1, where Schedule 1 said that where any goods are supplied between distinct persons, it will be a deemed supply, even though there is no consideration. Okay. What is the weird thing over here is that some people interpreted that Schedule 1 entry in relation to these businesses, saying that when my bus goes from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, it is going from Mumbai registered office to the Ahmedabad registered office, correct? So it is a supply, deemed supply under Schedule 1 of what? Of the bus. See the weirdness. So today night, my bus travels from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. It reaches Ahmedabad other day morning. It is supply of bus by Mumbai to Ahmedabad. Now tomorrow evening, the bus will come back from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. It will again be a supply by the Ahmedabad branch to the Mumbai branch of the entire bus. Just imagine the weirdness of how people interpreted Schedule 1. So all these transporters who are using these different mediums like railways are using trains, I am using buses, then you have goods transporter who are using truck, tanker, trailers, and then people who are in shipping business are using ships. A ship costs in crores. Then people who are in airline business are flying. In fact, their aircraft is flying in multiple states in a day. It is covering 4 or 5 states. So every time this flight goes from Mumbai to Jammu, Mumbai will raise invoice on Jammu. Every time the flight then goes from Jammu to Kolkata, Jammu will raise invoice on Kolkata. From Kolkata, it is going to Andhra. They are raising invoice on Andhra. So in a day, I have to raise invoice of multiple crore rupees between myself. Is it not weird? 100% weird. But understand, government had to come up with a circular clarifying that the transfer of your own vehicles, buses, trucks, aircraft between your two offices shall be neither a supply of goods nor a supply of service, and we will not levy IGST. That to clarify it by giving a circular. So imagine it had become such a big national issue that they had to come up with a circular. I hope this is clear. Further, what does the circular said? However, the applicable CGST, SGST, ICAI, whatever it is, may be, as the case may be, shall be leviable. On what? On the repairs and maintenance done for the conveyance, that is understood. So when you are sending your bus to other place for getting repairs done, so on repairs, there will be GST. I have no problem in paying that because that is with outsider. But my bus traveling from my one office to another, my aircraft going from one place to another, both places I have my office, so I am distinct person, does not means that in a day I have to keep raising invoice on myself, and that also of crores of rupees because my flight, one aircraft will cost me that much. Similarly, interstate movements of rigs, tools, spares, and all goods on wheels like cranes. Same thing. I am having different goods on wheels. That is, those things which are goods also and which has wheels, so it can travel like cranes, like your road rollers, like huge machines which can move because it has vehicles. Now, again, generally these are used by contractors. So I'm a contractor. I have my main office in MP Bhopal, but I have got a works contract in nearby state of UP or of Delhi or of Gujarat. So obviously for carrying out that work, I am sending my crane over there, I'm sending my road roller over there, and it goes. It goes like how any vehicle goes. It may take some time because it travels slowly, but it goes there and it performs. So again, the weirdest thing is that when my crane or my road roller goes from one place to another, it will become Schedule 1, it will become a deemed supply, and there will be GST. This was the view of many people. Again, to clarify that, they had to come up with a circular saying that there will be no GST for such supplies or interstate movement. But yes, again, where it is going for repairs, there will be GST on repairs. So that is acceptable, no problem at all. So this is all about the supply aspect. So with this, we have covered all aspects of supplies with all the schedules. Now we come to the next and the last part of this chapter, that is composite supplies and mixed supplies. And this is very interesting. Really, I really like and enjoy this concept. What is a composite supply? What is a mixed supply? Please understand this, students. Composite supply, mixed supply concept is useful whenever, as a supplier, you are offering two or three things together as one package. Now, this two or three things may be two, three goods service, two, three only service, two, three only goods. So it can be combination of anything. I'll give you the simplest example to first understand, make you understand what we are talking about when we are talking about this section. So we are talking about a case like during Diwali, if you go to any sweet shop, you will find that they have made a hamper. They have made a beautiful basket. In that basket, they have kept one or two different types of chocolates. They have kept some cookies. They have kept some specific these wafers or chips or these things. So they've made a basket of all these food items, maybe one or two cold drink cans, any of these things they have kept in that basket, and they've made a whole good basket. Now, this basket is a composite or a mixed supply. What it is, we'll discuss, but it is a package made up of two, three, four, five different items put together. Similarly, second example, you go to a movie theater. Now, when you go to a movie theater, you buy the movie ticket, which is separate. And then whenever you want, you can go for some cold drink, some coffee, some sandwich, which is separate. But many times, to promote a particular movie or to promote the early morning shows when more people are not there, these uh, theaters, they have a scheme. Like normally we, during our college days, used to go in the early morning shows. Why? Because these theaters used to offer a scheme where they used to say that if you are coming to that early morning 7 o'clock show, firstly, the ticket price we are keeping nominal, so it was only 100, which otherwise is 250, 300. And in that 100, they are also going to give us Coke. Or in that 100, they are also going to give us samosa or a sandwich. So again, it becomes a composite supply where one I'm getting the movie and the other I'm getting some food article. Another example of this is you go to a hospital, somebody is admitted. When you get the hospital bill, in the hospital bill, you find a list of different things which the hospital has given, which includes the room rent. They charge you the operation theater charges. They charge you the doctor visiting fees. They charge you the nursing charges. If food is provided, they charge you the food. If medicines are given, they charge you the medicine. Everything is put in one bill. These are all examples of a package. Ginny, we have been doing that. In fact, that was our most favorite thing. So going to movie during college timings. So that was a different part. Okay. Now, when the supplier provides you different things together, we have to determine the taxability. Now, what we have to determine is how this package would be treated, whether it would be treated as goods or service, because it may have both. What would be the tax rate? Because let us say these 7, 8 items may have different tax rates. Some may be exempt, some may be taxable at 18, some may be taxable at 5, some may be taxable at 28. So how to treat this, how to tax it, how, whether it will be supply of goods, supply of service, because according to this, all other provisions will change. For this, Section 8 comes into the picture. Section 8 is very simple. What does Section 8 says? The tax liability of a composite or a mixed supply shall be determined in the following manner. How? If your package is a composite supply, what it is, we'll study the definition after this. So if your package is a composite supply, that is, it is fitting in the definition of composite supply, in that particular case, we will treat it as if it is a supply of only one item, which is your main supply. So how to treat it? It shall be treated as if it is the supply of the main item, which is called as the principal supply. So if your transaction, if your package classifies or fits in the definition of composite supply, the tax treatment is we will treat it as per the provisions applicable to the principal item in this, that is the main item in this. Now, if the principal item is exempt, entire package is exempt, even though other items may be 5, 12, or 18 or 28, like in hospital case. In hospital, since the main supplies of healthcare which is exempt, so along with that, the stay, the means that is the room rent, then the medicines, then the food, everything is exempt because the principal supply is exempt. So the entire package is treated like the principal supply. If your package is a mixed supply, then the entire package will be treated as if it is the supply of the highest rate item. Now, if in the entire package, the highest rate item is of 18%, then the entire package would be treated as per that item. And it may happen that one of the item is exempt, but still that may get taxed at 80%. This will happen if the transaction is classified as a mixed supply. So what is important is, so we are talking about package items. This package may have different services, different goods, or combination of goods and services, but the entire package would be treated as one item. So for the entire package, one rule will apply, and according to that rule, the entire package would be treated throughout GST. So this is firstly what section 8 says. So section 8 is very simple. If your package is composite supply, treat it as if it is the principal supply. If your package is a mixed supply, treat it as if it is the highest rate item supply. Now the question comes is, what is a composite supply and what is a mixed supply? Because that will decide my taxability. So we come to the definition of composite supply and mixed supply. Composite supply means supply made by a taxable person to a recipient. That is okay. This is the basic part. Where what it makes comprises of? It comprises of two or more taxable supplies. So if you are supplying in the package any such item which is not leviable to GST, like you are supplying alcoholic liquor in your composite package, then we will not call it as a composite supply. Because alcoholic liquor is not a taxable supply under GST. So firstly, your composite package should be made up of two or more taxable supplies. Most important condition, you have said that it is a package. This package should be naturally bundled. So these 2-3 items, 4-5 items which you are supplying, they are naturally bundled and they are supplied in conjunction with each other. Means what? Making this package, keeping these items together is matching, and it is the general practice in that business to provide these items together. Like whenever you buy television, you always call it as TV set. Why it is always called as TV set? Because TV, then you have that steel plate which is used to install the TV. Then you have the connecting wire, you have the remote. So you have different items, not just the TV panel. Many times in certain brand, you also have the sound bar separately, you have the woofers. All this is part of that. That is why they call it as television set. Now, these are all different items, different rate items. Interestingly, when you buy something like AC, the company says that we are providing AC with installation free. Now, remember, we talked about this in a circular earlier. You are provided something free. And at that time, I said that the circular saying nothing is free in the commercial world. You have to treat it as if two items are supplied together for one price, and then the treatment would be as if it is composite or mixed. Now, whether it is composite or mixed, we have to check now. So when somebody says, okay, you are buying water purifier, this is the price along with installation. You are buying AC, this is the price along with installation. It means it is giving you two services together. One is the AC, one is the water purifier, which is goods, and the other is the installation service. Now, giving both these things together is naturally bundled because they complement each other, because they are linked to each other, they are in conjunction with each other, and giving this together is the normal practice in that business. Then it is called as naturally bundled. So the first condition is the items which are supplied together should be taxable supplies. Second, they should be naturally bundled. And third, very important condition, out of all these items, only one should be the main, other one should be the secondary or supplementary. Now, if any of these conditions are not satisfied, then your transaction will simply become a mixed supply. Where is the definition? I don't know where is the definition. So what is important is, if any of these conditions are not satisfied, your transaction may become a mixed supply. So three crucial conditions. One, the two or more items should be taxable supplies. Two, they are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business. And three, out of these, only one is the main item, main supply. Other are subordinate or secondary. Now, in this regard, they have defined what is principal supply. Principal supply means supply of good service which constitutes the predominant element. As I said, it is the main item. So in that whole package, in that whole combo, only one item is the main item. Like in the television set, TV panel is the main item, others are supporting items. In a mobile box, the mobile is the main item, the other things like headphones or maybe the charger, etc. are the supportive items. That is called as a principal supply, right? Now, we are also provided some characteristics, some features to decide when will you say that your services are bundled in the ordinary course of business. So we say that our services are bundled in the ordinary course of business, then only it becomes composite. But how do you know that these services are bundled? So they have given some characteristics, some features. Now these features have come from the service tax era because this concept was there in service tax. Now the only difference is, since they have copied it from the service tax, here everywhere you are reading it from the service point of view. So the words used are service recipient or service provider. But remember, in GST now, composite may even include goods. So when you are reading this, assume it is also applicable to the goods provider or the goods recipient, right? Now, what are the characteristics to decide whether your case is naturally bundled or not? First is perception of the customer or the service recipient. That is, the buyers look at from the buyer's perspective. Whether buyers expect that when they will buy television, they will get remote, they will get that particular cord. If the buyers expect that these things are always provided, it means the buyer's perception is that these things come together with that product. It means it is naturally bundled. Second, majority of service providers in that area of business provide similar bundling. Second criteria is, now first criteria was from the buyer's perspective, second is from the seller's perspective. So let us say we are talking about this hospital services. Check whether all these facilities which this hospital is giving is also provided by other hospitals. If yes, we will say that it is naturally bundled. Then, nature of various service in the bundle. Is it that the various items in the bundle, now here again they are using service, you can say goods, service, both. Whether these various goods and services which are in the bundle are such that they match each other or they are opposite to each other. Like, I take a cup, I take a tie, and I take a shoe and I make it one package. This cannot be naturally bundled because these are dissimilar items. They do not match in terms of nature. So another criteria given for bundling is that you have to check whether can you say that these items by nature match each other. So they should match each other, only then you can call it as bundling or naturally bundled. And then some other illustrative indicators that there is a single price or the customer pays the same amount, no matter how much of package they actually receive. Means what? Whether you provide 2 items, 3 items, the price remains same. Like many times in this thali system, whatever you provide, the price remains same. So in thali system, there may be 4 or 5 items, but the price remains same. The elements are normally advertised as a package. This is again a very interesting criteria. So whenever things are advertised, while advertising, do they show all the other parts together, or do they mention that, okay, my package will include all this? It means if they are advertised together, so automatically it will match my first point also. It will have a perception on the customer that, okay, these things will be coming together. So it will be a naturally bundled. Another criteria can be the different elements are not available separately. Many times this happens that you want to buy those things separately, that is not available. It is always coming with that particular item only. Like many times we like certain cases for your specs. Now, if I go to buy separately, I may not get them. They are available with that particular brand specs only, because that brand is specifically making the specs case for their brand. So they may not be available separately. Similarly, the different elements are integral to one overall supply. If one or more is removed, the nature of supply would be changed. So your package is such that they complement each other and they all are together making up your main supply. If you remove any one of them, maybe the supply nature would change. So these are just illustrative, and here they have mentioned that there is no straitjacket formula. So these are also not final, but these are some of the illustrative characteristics which are used to determine whether your transaction is a composite supply or not. And once it is composite supply, we already saw what is the treatment. Now, on this basis, again, there are certain issues which have been clarified. So first issue which was clarified was relating to printing industry. Now let us understand what this issue is. So you go to a printer, like I go to a printer, I say that these are my notes. I want to give these notes to my students, like how it happens in case of a physical class. So I get these notes printed from the printer. Now what happens when I want to get these notes printed? I will give this entire content to the printer, maybe with all these diagrams and everything. I'll do the placing and all. Only the printer has to print. Now the printer is using his paper, the printer is using his printing ink, he's using every solution, binding material and all, and he's preparing these books, these modules, and giving to me. Now in this case, the question is, the printer has used goods also. Within goods, it has used different goods like paper, like ink, like solution, chemical. Plus, he has used the service of doing the printing using his printing machine and all the gadgets. Now the question is, how do we classify this? First issue. Second issue, again relating to printing industry, where I am a hoteler. I run a hotel. Now, in my hotel, when I give a napkin or a tissue paper, that napkin or tissue paper has my symbol printed or my hotel name written. Or let us say I am some company. When I'm sending my goods to my customer or to my different suppliers, like let us say you are buying something from Amazon, it comes in a box, the outer box, which is called as the packing material. It is a normal box, but on that you have the Amazon symbol printed. Now, in these two examples, the circular says there are two different answers. First example, where I have given the entire content, like all these theory I have given with all the diagrams and all, everything I have given, you are going to print it on paper, maybe bind it and give it to me in the form of a book or a module. It will be considered as supply of printing service. So it is a composite supply, but it will be treated, the principal supply will be supply of printing service. And accordingly, the service rate would be applicable, and this whole supply by you will be treated as supply of service, even though you have used your paper ink, which is material. Second case, where I am, let us say, buying these paper napkins, the boxes, etc. from you, and asking you to print my logo or put my name on that. it will be considered as supply of goods, because in that the goods is the major item, printing is the smaller item. Because in that case, my intention is mainly to buy the goods, that is the tissue paper or the box. Yes, the printing of my logo, etc., is the smaller case, smaller item in the whole supply. So they are saying in this particular case, the whole supply will be treated as supply of goods and not supply of service. Jeannie is saying in a hotel also the main service, but you are mixing. In hotel, the outward service of the hotel is accommodation. Here we are not talking about the outward service of the hotel. Here I am talking about the hotel inward service which the hotel is purchasing. He is purchasing tissue paper. So for this particular inward service or inward item which the hotel is purchasing, what is the nature? Hotel's outward is clear. It is accommodation. We are not talking about outward service. We are talking about what the hotel is purchasing. So that is what the circular clarifies. So the circular's clarification is based on what is the exact transaction. So if the exact transaction is I give content and you do the printing, it is supply of printing service. But where I only give you my symbol or name and you bring the material like the box, the tissue paper, the napkin, then it is mainly supply of goods, that is the box or the tissue paper, etc. Second clarification, which is simple, is about food supplied to inpatients, that is the patients who are admitted in the hospital. Food will be treated as part of the main supply, which is the hospital or the healthcare service, and automatically it will be exempt. Activity of bus bodybuilding, here the circular has not given a complete or clear answer. It says that the principal supply may be determined on the basis of facts of each case. So this circular has actually not clarified anything. Then retrading of tires. Retrading of tires is a composite supply. Here the predominant element is the process of retrading, which is service. Rubber used for retrading is ancillary supply. However, supply of retraded tires where the old tires belong to the supplier of the retraded tires is a supply of, see, it is simply retrading. Maybe everybody may not understand because maybe you may not have got this done. So where your tire is requiring some type of a repair, you take it to the workshop and he does the repair to your tire. That is what is retrading of the tire. Maybe while doing this, he adds some rubber wherever there is some hole or gap. But the main item is treating your tire, making it correct. So it is supply of service. However, where the supplier is giving you the whole tire itself, so means the supplier is giving you a retreaded tire. So when he is giving you the retreaded tire itself, where the tire itself belongs to the supplier, it will be supply of goods. So where tire belongs to you, he only does the retreading, it is service. Maybe in doing that, he is using some rubber material, still it is service. Where he is giving you the entire retreaded tire itself, it is supply of goods. Further, supply of food and beverages at cinema hall. So when you go to a cinema hall, in the hall during the break, you come outside and you are given some chips, some coffee, some type of snacks you buy from there. What it will be treated, it has been clarified. The eating joints which are there, which are put inside a cinema theater, are all in the form of eating kiosk or counters or restaurant, and they will be classified as restaurant service. So see, these are different examples which have been clarified in different real life case scenarios. This also is clear where sale of tickets and supply of food are clubbed, as I was giving example, the early morning shows, and such bundled supply satisfy the test of composite supply. Entire supply will attract the GST rate which is applicable to the cinema, because cinema is the principal supply and food is the ancillary. Now, how they have defined mixed supply? Mixed supply is defined as two or more individual supplies of good service or any combination thereof made in conjunction with each other. So here neither they are saying it should be taxable supply, neither they are saying that this should be principal naturally bundled. So all those conditions which are present in composite supply are not there. So whenever any of the conditions of composite supply are not there, they will fall in mixed supply. Here there is only one condition, that there should be a single price. Now, if in the bill the breakup of the individual prices are given, it will not be treated as mixed supply, because for mixed supply the condition is that there should be one single price given. And once it is a mixed supply, it will be treated as the supply of the highest rate item It may be goods, it may be service. So students, so this is the complete chapter of supply. It was the most lengthiest chapter, but it is fun reading chapters like this because one, it is the most basic concept of GST, and two, it has so many circulars, so many variations, but that is what makes it very interesting. Yes, as a student, I'm sure it is troublesome to remember so many things. Even it is troublesome for us, even though we are day out, day in practicing in this. But it may be even more troublesome for you because you'll have to prepare so many subjects at the same time. But still, at least read this as a fun, at least read it with that intent that okay, you're learning such a vast concept which is so much important in the real life, in the real world. So when you read it with that intent, you will really enjoy reading it. Okay, learning, remembering is always going to be a challenge because you have so much syllabus to cover, and not there is one subject, there are so many subjects, but fine. At least that would be satisfying that you are reaching a level which is of a very elite category. Fine. So let's see if anything is pending. Yes, beta. That is why I try to give real life examples so that it is connecting and you can retain and you can even reproduce it in exams. And especially in exams, as you see, the questions that are asked are also real life. So that is why we need to connect the subject to real life so that you are able to answer your exams effectively. So with this, we close. Next week, there could be some change in the schedule that would be informed to you. So we close this session for today. Thank you very much. Our day after session would be regular. There is no change in that. So Saturday, we are meeting again with the next chapter. As I said, the change, whatever it is, it will be in the next week. That will be informed to you at the earliest, within earliest time. Fine. So thank you, students. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Do revision of this chapter. Come back to me in the next session if by chance you find anything not understanding or confusing. Fine. Thank you. Good night. Thank you, technical team. We can close the session. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.